Good morning. It's your Boxing Day breakfast with Patrick and Alex.
Yes, happy birthday.
Thank you. It's
happy
Alex
birthday.
Hey.
Fantastic. Lots on the agenda today. So we're talking about the Queen's speech, Omicron, obviously, and the cricket. So as well as finding out, of course, about your best and worst Christmas presents.
Plus, speaking about presents, it is, as Patrick said, my birthday today.
Yes.
So let's have some fun, and we need your help. So do get in touch. gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Yes, well, let's do it. Boxing Day breakfast with Patrick and Alex.
Woo!
Happy birthday.
Well, it's time to take a look at some of today's newspaper front pages, and unsurprisingly,
Yes.
my birthday does not feature on any of them.
Which I think is a scandal. We've got Chris Whitty on one of them, we've got the Queen, we've not got our Queen. You.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yes.
I like that.
I think it's a disgrace. I think it's an absolute disgrace. Anyway,
It's a disgrace. Well, the Mirror have more on the Queen's intruder, revealing that he was carrying a crossbow. It also splashes with the story that tennis hero Emma Raducanu will receive a New Year's honour, something else I won't be getting.
No, something... Well, in a way you won't be getting. In a way you will. You know, we will honour you, won't we, the viewers even. So make sure you get in touch with that. The Sunday Telegraph leads on... apparently, dodgy figures being used in a push for tighter restrictions. Who'd have thought it, eh?
Who'd have thought
we were being bounced into more restrictions? Who would have thought that? Anyway, Jenny Harries, off of the UK Health Security Agency, accused of putting out misleading stats on hospitalisations that overstated the risk from Omicron.
Naughty.
Naughty.
The Independent has Afghans who helped UK left in fear of their lives. The majority of those promised sanctuary are still waiting months on. And a Christmas Day boost for vaccines.
I think that Afghan thing's an absolute scandal, by the way. We had the interpreters, didn't we? Now
I know, it's shocking.
Yeah, why can't we just help these people out? Yeah, we've got everything, you know. This, that and the other coming over the channel. Whoever said that? Anyway, right, the Observer leads with calls from some Tory MPs for the government not to tighten COVID rules this year. So with rising levels of Omicron, of course, there's uncertainty over increased restrictions before the new year. Wales and Scotland have already announced increased restrictions. In fact, Wales has gone mental. But the front page also reports on a survey that suggests 6 in 10 of us think Brexit has gone badly. 6 in 10 Observer readers? No.
Whoa,
never.
What are you fancy about that?
Oh.
Now, the Sunday Times front page is packed with headlines. It suggests that the Labour Party has moved into an 8-point lead over the Conservatives after a punishing few weeks for the Prime Minister. And Boris Johnson has vowed to keep schools open despite the rise in Omicron cases.
Yes, indeed. Well, the Mail have been... they've got more details, actually, on this armed intruder who broke into the grounds of Windsor Castle as the Queen celebrated Christmas. Their sources tell them that he was carrying a crossbow and he used a rope ladder to scale a metal fence. It is not clear if the intruder got actually that close to the Queen, frankly, or private apartments, of course. Last night, a 19-year-old man from Southampton was being held on suspicion of breach or trespass of a protected site and possession of an offensive weapon.
Now, I understand your pain. Leave the Sunday Express. Do you, though? Did you wake up at 3:30 in the morning, Sunday Express? I'm not sure you did. These are the words spoken by Her Majesty the Queen earlier today in what was actually a deeply personal speech where she empathised with her subjects, saying how much she still misses Prince Philip. We all do.
I must say, I thought, actually, her Queen's speech yesterday was very, very moving.
I was sobbing. I don't know if that was the lack of sleep.
Yeah.
The daytime drinking.
You and I just met, aren't we? We can cry at anything.
I know. Don't even look at me. You'll send me off.
It's a bad day to watch Bambi, isn't it? But there we go. Right, OK, so, look, we may not have seen a white Christmas, of course, but the Daily Star warns of 25 days of snow. Forecasters say we're in for a mild New Year's Eve, but then snow is coming, apparently. Winter is coming. And you better buy a sledge.
Yeah, and, well, there we are. Those are the front pages. It's largely doom and gloom, crossbows, snow, blizzards.
Yeah, I mean, the blizzard thing I find hard to believe. It's either Greta's right or she isn't, you know, one way or the other. We can't have it both ways.
Can't have it both ways.
Can't have it both ways.
But I like a bit of snow. Big fan of that, actually. I quite, yeah. I mean, not in London, it just turns to sludge, doesn't it? But it has that magical moment for a while where it's actually falling and it's like, oh, isn't that sweet?
Yes.
And it's like, bleh.
Yeah, and then it turns into if weather could be a thing, if slush could be a thing, it'd be. That's exactly what you're saying. But I quite hope that it does snow. Actually, I love the snow. 25 days.
I love the snow.
I'll do it. I'll get sledging. Yeah.
Where are you going to sledge in London? Going down Oxford Street.
Any time, any place, mate. All right, any time, any place. I'll sledge. Interesting stuff about this intruder, then.
Yeah, the crossbow horror, armed intruder.
Well,
I mean, I'm interested to find out who this character is. What's going on with this
what they thought was going to happen, really, because it's quite a tough place to break into.
But it's not the easiest.
By definition, it's Windsor Castle, isn't it? It's quite a tough place to get into.
It's probably got a moat and fortresses and a portcullis and
yeah.
Gazillions of soldiers. I mean,
Yes.
if you're going to go on the rob, you wouldn't pick the Queen's house, would you?
I'm sure it was on the rob.
I don't think it was on the rob. Don't think he was. No, but it's going to be interesting so we find out over the next couple of days who was the perpetrator and what their motivations were.
I hate this. On the Sun.
What do you hate?
Apparently they're going to knight Chris Whitty for services to ruining our lives.
So Chris Whitty, born in Gloucester, like I was.
Chief Medical Officer Chris Whitty is to receive a knighthood in recognition for his role in fighting the pandemic. Can I just say, Chris, could you do me the common courtesy of bothering to get it right every now and again? It's basically, what, services for dodgy stats? Is that what it is?
I don't mind the Whitty. You know, Whitty's just got a job to do. He can't help that he's
well, it'd be nice if he was better at it, wouldn't it,
scientist.
So
a bit scared of the sound of his own voice.
He's 55. Goodness me, he doesn't look well for it, does he? 55 years old. 55. Let that sink in, ladies and gentlemen. Chris Whitty is a hard paper round. And, he's been responsible for locking us down. We would still be locked down now. I'd be shackled to his radiator if Whitty had it.
It is kind of an interesting world we now live in, where scientists seem to... Well, no, Pfizer runs the world.
Well, is he a scientist? I mean...
Of course he's a scientist.
Yeah, but
what do you think? He's a
scientists
postman.
get it
He's just
right,
stumbled into a briefing
modelling.
room.
Do you reckon he... What do you reckon? You reckon he models... I mean, what's the only...
Models on the catwalk.
The only thing you will model, isn't it? Anyway... Right, go on, what else on the Express?
Well, no, it's all about the Queen and the Queen's speech, as we said. I mean, it really was a very different Queen's speech. It was so emotional, and it was funny. It was witty, but not Chris Whitty. It was the right kind of witty, the witty we like, the witty we enjoy.
The witty we like, yes, in the sense that she was right. She obviously was deeply emotional. It was, I thought, well, it was very touching, wasn't it? Obviously, the nod, well, it wasn't a nod, it was explicitly talking about Philip.
It's funny, she does seem to have sort of become out as this sort of funny and laughing queen since the death of her husband. It's almost as if she sort of kept that side of her back and let him play that role in front of the nation. And since we've lost him, she's allowing her own sort of sense of mischief to bubble forth. And
she is. I mean, obviously, I thought she got it right all the time anyway, really. But she especially got it right then. My beloved Philip. It was very touching.
It was really touching. And if you did happen to miss it, where were you? Why aren't you a patriot glued to your telly?
It's almost like you don't like this country.
What is wrong with you? But if you did miss it because we loved it that much, we will be playing it again later, of course. Well,
right, we're going to delve into the terrifying world of my inbox.
I haven't even turned on my laptop. You get in there.
GBNews. We run a tight ship here, ladies and gents. I can tell you that much. So, enjoy watching you two so much over the last couple of days. Never laughed so much watching the news. Using the news quite lightly there, Barbara. Happy birthday, Alex. You're getting a lot of love.
Yay!
Happy birthday, Alex.
Yay!
Yes, absolutely. Simon's wished you happy birthday. Craig has wished you happy birthday as well.
Oh, thank you. Do you know, we should honestly put out a call for birthday exotic pets from around the world.
We should do a call to arms at some point.
We did love exotic pets yesterday. It was...
we had the festive Christmas tortoise.
Can we up the game on the festive Christmas tortoise, the festive Christmas hedgehog, cow? We had the festive monkey in Bali.
We had a festive monkey in Bali. We had the lot of it yesterday. Quite literally.
Tarantulas.
We were big in... We were right. Yesterday, we went to New Zealand, we went to Finland, we went to Iceland, we went to South Africa, we went to wherever. And
Luxembourg, we got some Luxembourg as well.
Got some Luxembourg.
Can't forget that. That's a good niche one.
Absolutely.
North Norway,
we basically pub quizzed it, didn't we? We pretty much went all of the country.
We followed Santa around the world of our own GB News.
It's fantastic. All right, well, make sure you do get in touch with us, obviously, gbviews at gbnews.uk, or tweet us at gbnews.
Right, now let's crack on. While many of us will use the Christmas period to relax after a difficult year, there are fresh warnings that unpaid carers are at risk of burnout, with almost two-thirds having not had a break at all during the pandemic. Many have had to take on additional caring responsibilities for family members with little or no respite care. Our London reporter, Alice Porter, has this package.
Over the last 2 years, we've clapped for carers, those in the NHS and those in our care homes. But there are more than 30 million unpaid carers across the UK, often working without any recognition. Vanessa Bowden is a full-time carer to her husband with MS and looks after her daughter with learning difficulties.
I haven't had a holiday for 8 years, I think it is now. I think it's about 8 years since I last went on holiday. Christmas Day, I'll probably be up around 4 a.m. to get my husband sorted, ready for coming down the stairs. And that's like an hour and a half's job to get him sorted. That's even before I get onto the stairs. And then it's a good 45 minutes to get him actually down the stairs.
James Townsend founded a company at the start of the pandemic which provides online support for unpaid carers. They've reached 150,000 people, including Vanessa.
Most carers primarily are just exhausted. The real challenge for Christmas is to try and make sure that you're keeping going with the things that you need to do every day, whilst combining that with the regular challenges of Christmas as well. So we're finding that bringing carers together online give them an opportunity to share those challenges with other people who recognise them, but also to lift each other up, share a bit of humour. That's a really key way to get through the Christmas period.
The government published their long-awaited white paper on social care earlier in the month and say they're putting an extra £25 million into supporting unpaid carers. But opposition MPs believe it doesn't go far enough.
Unpaid carers have been pushed to the limit looking after the people they love. Almost half hadn't had a single break for 5 years, even before the pandemic struck. But I understand the additional funding in the white paper amounts to just £1.60 more for each unpaid carer a year. Families deserve so much better than this.
Carers are often in need of more financial support, and like Vanessa, many just want some appreciation.
Acknowledgement that we do 24 hours a day job. You know, we have to be on call 24 hours a day. We don't get that recognition.
Well, that was Alice Porter there, of course, our London reporter. So here's what else is going on today. Chris Whitty, is set to be knighted in the New Year's Honours List.
Yeah, England's chief medical officer will be recognised by Her Majesty the Queen for his frontline efforts in leading the country's response to the COVID pandemic. According to various newspaper reports, his deputy, Jonathan Van Tam, will also receive honours.
I'd be up for JVT having a go, but...
Why do you prefer JVT over the Whitster?
I just think it's a question.
But come on, like the most iconic phrase of all time is "next slide, please."
Next slide, please.
That's not his voice, but it should be.
Next slide, please. Yeah, he'll be on Strictly next, won't he, Whitty?
Oh, yeah, he will, won't he?
Whitty's never been more famous. Whitty will become a millionaire.
I think he's already.
Well, probably.
He
looks like a man who watches the pennies, doesn't he? He's probably done a graph on it. He's probably done the charts. Right, OK, so if I save this amount of money every single week...
Did you see old blimmin'...
Well.
I said blimmin'. Right. It's my birthday. Professor Ferguson's having his chit-chats again in the Mail today. And he was saying, the best thing is, it was all about, these are my predictions for all of 2020. Predictions on everything. Predictions on Brexit, predictions on America. And he said, I did the same last year and got them all wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly.
Wait, this is mental. If this lot worked in any other job, they wouldn't have a job.
They would not.
They wouldn't have a job anymore. They'd be like, right, OK, can we go to your end-of-year appraisal? Right,
so we've just had
a quick look at the sheets here, and it turns out you were wrong about everything.
You're wrong.
Consistently, forever, actually, and we're going to have to let you go. But no, in this case, you get knighted. I'm in the wrong job.
Would you like to be knighted?
Yes, very much. Very much so. I also pay my tax, so I should be.
Well, everyone who pays tax should be knighted, but I like this new system.
No, but some people who don't are. So, there we go. Right, anyway, so the Queen paid tribute, of course, moving on, to her husband in her first annual Christmas message since his death yesterday. So Her Majesty said, Christmas can be hard for those who have lost loved ones. This year especially, I understand why. She described Philip as her beloved and said that she felt his presence over the festive period.
Wonder what's inside his presents that she felt.
Not now, mate. Not now.
Meanwhile, a man armed with an offensive weapon was arrested in the grounds of Windsor Castle on Christmas Day. Thames Valley Police said the man, aged 19 and from Southampton, was found within moments of entering the grounds at 8:30 yesterday morning. He has been arrested on suspicion of breach or trespass of a protected site and possession of an offensive weapon. Police say he did not enter any buildings and members of the royal family had been informed.
So volunteers are working at COVID vaccination sites in England today as well, and they're even working yesterday as they push to offer every single adult a booster by the end of the month. Now, NHS England says that thousands of first, second and booster jabs were given on Christmas Day as part of its response to Omicron. A new high, of 122,186 daily UK COVID cases were reported on Friday.
Yeah, but about 60% of adults have now received a booster jab in the UK, with a record number of vaccinations taking place in the last 7 days, according to the NHS. More than 32 million boosters and third doses have now been administered. What's the difference between a booster and a third dose?
Nothing.
By the way.
Nothing.
Anyway,
nothing.
And officials are urging all eligible people to come forward for their jab as soon as possible to reduce the impact of Omicron. I read in the paper, actually, that they're planning on potentially going door to door with their needles, like come to your house with their syringes.
Come jab with me. That's what it was called, wasn't it? Yes, I know. I find it astonishing, really, because it's like, all the stats that we've got so far are that Omicron appears to be milder.
That doesn't care about vaccines.
Doesn't seem to care that much about whether or not you've been jabbed, actually.
Just doesn't care.
And also, as well, we had quite a worrying report, didn't we? I think it was yesterday or the day before, that the jab apparently seems to wane against Omicron after 10 weeks.
I know. I mean, what's it going to be? Knock, knock, who's there? The vaccinator. Give me your arm. I don't care for it.
The vaccinator.
I'm the vaccinator.
Cuckoo, yes, absolutely. Good stuff. We're getting loads of love for you, by the way. Happy birthday again.
Thank you. Let's keep doing that all day.
Yes. There we go. So, yes, morning. Yes, here we go. We've got... it's my birthday too, Paul. Well done, Paul. Way. Good luck. It was so lovely to hear Patrick say happy birthday to Alex at the beginning of the show. Happy birthday to you as well,
happy
Paul.
Birthday to you, Paul.
Well done.
Boxing Day babies were the best.
Another year, mate.
Am I right?
Another year. You've got a really raw deal, though. Really raw deal, because...
What, getting up at 3:30 in the morning?
You get Christmas... Yeah, I mean, apart from that, you get Christmas and birthday combined. So I imagine loads of people go, happy Christmas, happy birthday. They give you a one-er, don't they?
Look, I'm trying to get Alexmas coins, good Christmas and Alexmas.
If Witty can get a knighthood, you can do whatever you want.
I can get Alexmas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Change approved.
Anyway, right, so this is, by the way, genuinely fascinating. So a $10 billion James Webb telescope left Earth yesterday on its mission to show the first stars to light up the universe. The observatory was lifted skywards by a rocket from the Kourou spacecraft on French Guinea. Guyana, sorry.
French Guyana.
Do the French have Guinea as well? Is there a French Guinea?
I think it...
Well, we'll find out.
There's a Guinea.
There's definitely a French Guyana, and crucially, that's where this rocket went from. So its flight to orbit lasted just under half an hour, with a signal confirming successful outcomes yesterday picked up in Kenya. Now, Webb, of course, named after one of the architects of the Apollo moon landings, is the successor to the Hubble telescope.
Oh, I love a big telescope, me. Right. I do. Like a bit of space stuff.
Well, I actually am from Jodrell... near?
You're from Jodrell Bank.
I'm near Jodrell Bank, yes,
Born
absolutely.
under the satellite dish.
Yes, I mean, born under the satellite dish is just sweet Jodrell Bank. But yes, it's a fantastic place. I am absolutely, space is my bucket list. It's on my bucket list.
And how crazy that they're going to go back to see the beginning of... how does it even... space and time?
But, OK...
It's just insane, isn't it?
Aliens, right? I'm concerned.
OK.
I'm concerned.
Bit of a diversion, let's do this.
No, it's not that much of a diversion, is it? It's a massive telescope being sent up to view space.
People say bad things about GBNews already without you. All the breakfast shows saying you're concerned about aliens.
Look, I'm not pushing a conspiracy theory or anything, but the moon's hollow, all right? I know, but it's not. Oh, I don't know, it might be. But yeah, I'm quite concerned about this, because we might explore space to the extent where we alert other things to our existence, and they might not like us. You don't know, do you?
No, they'd love us. I bet they're all sitting there on planet, whatever it's called,
Omicron.
Planet Omicron. Tuning into GBNews right now, going, we love that Christie's and that film.
I think so. Maybe in a way we could save the world.
Happy birthday. Can hear
Good stuff. Well, I tell you what, can you imagine if Donald Trump had been still in charge? By the way, I'm pretty sure he'll be in charge again soon. But and the aliens arrived, and he was the first person that they met.
Would they then be surprised that the rest of us weren't orange, do you think?
Potentially.
Unless they bumped into David Dickinson straight after.
Which actually...
And Andrew Neil.
We have to make that happen, guys. We have to make that happen.
Now, on the subject of orange people, Donald Trump's golf courses and leisure businesses in Scotland claimed over £3 million in UK government furlough money Naughty.
Naughty.
COVID restrictions caused substantial losses at Trump resorts in Ayrshire and Aberdeenshire, with both companies reducing staff. Trump Turnberry saw turnover more than halved, and it recorded a loss of more than £3 million in 2020. The other course and resort at Balmeedy also reported a loss of £1.3 million.
Well, I mean, we weren't allowed to do it for a while, were we? It's not a shock, is it, that?
I think they're sort of griping at the fact that he's a Brazilianaire
and he can afford to lose
UK government money, but rules are rules, aren't they? I mean, you know, you've got a business, claim furlough. They've got a load of these reports, don't you? This person's got all of these earnings, then they claimed furlough.
Well, I didn't realise that I had to pay Rishi Sunak back for the money he very kindly gave me. It's almost like it wasn't free money.
Sunak gave me nothing.
Sunak gave you nothing.
Nothing. I left the European Parliament 31st of January, then bam, pandemic. So I was just scratching out a few newspaper articles, living off lentils and crumbs.
Oh, well.
Marooned on Lanzarote.
I think what we're trying to say really is thank you.
Thanks, Rishi.
Thank you, mate. Yes, well done you. Anyway, former England and Yorkshire cricket captain Ray Illingworth unfortunately has died at the age of 89. The all-rounder who led England to an away Test series victory over Australia, do you remember what that used to feel like, in 1970, 1971, had been undergoing radiotherapy for cancer. Now, Illingworth played 61 Tests for England and he helped Yorkshire to win 7 domestic titles between 1959 and 1968.
It's one of those stories where you could actually say he had a good innings and it would work.
He did have a good innings. Well done, Ray.
Meanwhile, still in cricket, England are off to another slow start in the second test of the Ashes in Melbourne. Joe Root's side are already 9 wickets down in the first innings with Australia yet to bat. England already 2-0 down in the series and hoping to turn it around on day one.
Which we're probably not going to do, but anyway. Today's weather, of course, it will be very dull for many, with spells, not here though, it will be dull for many with spells of rain and hill snow apparently clearing away north-eastwards to leave a few lingering showers. So the southwest as well. Some brightness will develop behind the rain. Tonight it will be cloudy for many, with the odd shower as well. Southwestern areas will see clearer spells for the first part of the night, but a band of heavy rain will push in during the early hours. Oh,
it sounds delightful, doesn't it? It's grey, it's bleak, it's manky.
I think anyone grows up wanting to be a weatherman.
What did you want to be when you were a kid?
An ice hockey player.
Oh, did you?
For a while.
I wanted to be a fighter pilot. I had a picture on my notes.
My point exactly.
Female
I never heard anyone go,
pilot.
I'd like to be a weatherman, when they were younger. But I'm just saying, you know...
Apparently, you're going to be rehearsing to be a weatherman in 20 seconds. So, coming up, we'll delve into the biggest stories in today's paper with Andrew Eborn, Emma Whelan and Nabila Ramdani. But first, let's have a detailed look at today's weather with the latest meteorologist to hit the scene, read beautifully, of course, by the one and only Mr. Patrick Christys.
Flipping now.
It's time to remind ourselves there's always another winter. Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
I've always wanted to do this, right. Looking ahead to today's weather with meteorologist Patrick Christys, and the UK is looking cold, that's right, in the north, with some hill snow, milder elsewhere, with cloud and a little bit of rain. Let's take a look at the details, shall we? Why not? It will start rather cloudy in the southwest, with some bright or sunny spells in places. There'll be a few showers for northern coast, and it's feeling a bit mild for all, that's right. However, it will be a cloudy start in the southeast with outbreaks of rain. The cloud will be low, bringing murky conditions and hill fog, some bright or possibly sunny spells for South Wales, but it'll be mostly cloudy here with the odd shower possible. It'll be a mild start here as well. So it will also start to be mild apparently across the Midlands, but overcast and murky with low cloud and the hill fog. The cloud will be thick enough to bring some light rain or drizzle at times. Also, a cloudy start in the northeast, but it will feel cold there as well. There'll be outbreaks of rain and indeed hill snow, so especially over the Pennines, bringing difficult driving conditions for a time. Cloudy and cold for southern Scotland as we start Boxing Day. There'll be a patchy outbreak of rain where the cloud thickens and also some hill snow over the higher ground. A milder start for those of us in Northern Ireland as well, but also cloudy. Who'd have thought it, eh? There'll be some showery rain at times, and this will be accompanied by strong winds. Rain, and yes, you guessed it, more hill snow.
Good old hill snow.
Good old hill snow. There'll be some of that. And there'll also be heavy showers in the west. And that's how the weather is shaping up for the rest of the day, and you're welcome.
Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
You're watching GB News live across the UK and the world on our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
We are here for you. Don't forget to join our YouTube community by clicking on that subscribe button.
And if you want the GB News app, you can click and catch up on programmes anytime.
We love to hear from you, so email us.
gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Thanks for being part of the GB News family.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of two wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Colin Brazier. I've reported from more than 70 countries around the world, covered wars from Afghanistan to Iraq, from Lebanon to the Balkans. I'm trying to bring that experience, that feel for events, to the studio. And something else. I'm ready to give an opinion. Today's stories with a spark. Brazier from 8 p.m. weekdays on GB News.
Join us for the political correction. We're here every Sunday to correct politics and put you, the people, back in charge.
We talk about all areas of the United Kingdom, including Northern Ireland.
Our debate goes way beyond the Westminster Village. It's about the real country. It's about your opinion. So please, we want you to tell us what you think.
This is Political Correction.
Every Sunday morning from 10 a.m. here on GB News.
You're watching GB News live across the UK, the world, and our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
We're here for you. Don't forget to join our community by hitting the subscribe button.
And download the GB News app so you can click and catch up on programmes anytime.
We love to hear from you. Email us at gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Thanks for being part of the GB News family.
Well, welcome back and happy Boxing Day. We're just discussing my cold cuts. Just behind the desk here, I've got a Tupperware box.
Can I just say this? Alex decided to... So, I don't know how you're feeling this morning. I'm absolutely knackered. But Alex decided to, I think the best word is unsheath a Tupperware full of foul-smelling meats and mouldy cheese and just leave it next to me. Well, I thought I was going a bit mental for a start there. I was like, why am I being sick in my own mouth? And it turns out that
it's Italian truffled salami. It's got a bit of a tang to it, that.
No, it's got boy, does it, yes.
But he ate my gammon. The first thing he did, opened my Tupperware box of cold cuts. In he went, bam.
Very on
And not just the gammon, he went straight for the fat on the outside. It's like, can I have your fat? I know it's your birthday, but can I eat the fat off your gammon?
And then you went, it's the best bit, and I just ate it anyway. Oh, okay, so moving on. And
right,
again,
come on, crack
happy
on.
birthday.
Oh,
and indeed, ladies and gentlemen at home, you are welcome. Right, so this morning we have a Boxing Day panel to go through the day's news stories, and we're very grateful for them for coming in as well, I must say, especially on this day. We've got broadcasters Ella Whelan, Andrew Eborn, and of course, Nabila Ramdani as well. Joining us this morning, fantastic stuff. Ella, I'm going to start with you. What's caught your eye?
Well, it's interesting that across the papers there's a slightly different tone in that we've had so much doom-mongering for so long. Many of the papers' front pages lead with stories that suggest that the government is going to get a drumming if they go for further restrictions. And the front page of the Sunday Times here reports that Starmer's moved to an 8-point lead as Partygate takes toll on the Tories. And essentially, it's no surprise to most people that, you know, the Labour Party hasn't done much to celebrate about or even to talk about over the last 2 years, as it's just fallen in line behind the government. But the factor of how badly Boris Johnson has handled not just the pandemic, but also the last few weeks of throwing people into basically, you know, desperation and not knowing what the next few days is going to hold for them has really taken a toll. And it suggests here that, in fact, if an election was run now, that Starmer would finish with a 26-seat majority, which tells you something, I think, about the way in which the public is sick of being held in limbo around coronavirus restrictions.
No, indeed. Well, yes. I mean, it's the not knowing, isn't it, I think, as well, with a lot of it. And I think, as well, people are a bit sick of, potentially anyway, a lack of justification for various kind of lockdowns, etc., and whether or not we're going to get bounced into one.
I think this is voters punishing Boris for all of the... Yeah, I think the sort of, you know, the half-truths, the fibs, the parties, the Patterson Gate...
It was really interesting, the party stuff, but all right, I know I'm about to get a load of emails saying stop going on about it, and that's kind of my point, actually, now. But it was amazing for me. I think initially, when it first broke, I was getting emails in left, right and centre. This is a non-story. I don't care about this party. I couldn't care less about this thing that happened a year ago. And then over the course of the next few days, that really changed, actually. People started to get in touch going, actually, I'm quite angry now, because on this particular day, I couldn't see my sick mum, or I couldn't, you know, go to a funeral or a wedding. I had to cancel a wedding. And I think it really shifted, didn't it?
I think the media had quite a lot to play in that, of course, you know, sort of telling us how to think, which is what they like to do. It's what we like to do, of course. Now, someone who's about to tell us what to think on another story is, of course, Andrew Eborn. What have you spotted today?
Well, I'll tell you what, this is about a quantum jump in discovery, and what a glorious time to do it. A number of papers reported on it yesterday. We also had in the news, it's basically the search for the birth of the universe is what we're offering. Glorious stuff, but very, very controversial, because it cost $10 billion. $10 billion. What they say, it's a Christmas gift to humanity. It's the liftoff for the largest space telescope ever. And what's going to happen is much more powerful than the previous one, which basically you will recall that the Hubble Space Telescope was launched to try and look at all sorts of planets that we didn't even knew existed. And what's going to happen this time is they're going to try and get even more data. We may well discover there is life on other planets. I know my fellow panellists have very strong views that we might be able to spend the money elsewhere, the $10 billion. But there is actually a point about this, and the point is this. It's from a scientific point of view. All the scientists are wonderfully excited because they reckon this is going to be the time that we could discover whether or not there is life on other planets. And I'll tell you why that's important. NASA has just appointed a British priest to help understand how the discovery of extraterrestrials would change the way we see the universe. So the Reverend Dr. Andrew, they're all good, the Andrews, Davidson, a priest and theologian at the University of Cambridge, is among 24 theologians to have taken part in a NASA-sponsored program at Princeton University in the US, and he's written that creation is seen as a generous gift from God, not just on this planet. So we're going to have a look at that, and it would equally apply anywhere to life in any part of the universe. So we'll be exploring all sorts of planets and have a look at that sort of argument later. And I'm looking forward to the discussion.
Oh, I tell you what, someone's banged up for this morning. Well done, mate. Fantastic stuff. There we go. Yes, happy Christmas, everyone.
You'll be getting your own slot on Ancient Aliens anytime.
Yes, you will indeed.
I'll tell you what, when I jingle all the way.
Oh, yes, you have to.
We love to hear it, right.
Right, Nabila, what's caught your eye?
Well, I mean, the
Andrew, obviously.
Christmas speech has obviously dominated all the front pages, most of the front pages, and there's no doubt that Her Majesty, the Queen, is the biggest story of the Christmas holidays, just as she's always in Britain. And I must say that her address to the nation was absolutely perfect yesterday. It was emotional, it was sensitive, and dare I say, pitched to appeal to just everybody. And the way she came across as an ordinary widow mourning her beloved Prince Philip was very, very moving. And it was certainly a very personal speech, which is rather unusual for the Queen, it has to be said. And I was particularly touched by the way she evoked the cycle of life. She spoke about meeting Philip decades ago and then leaving him earlier this year. So that was particularly touching.
It was very touching, actually, and I think actually, frankly, quite relatable. I think about that because, you know, we have all, I'm sure, you know, we have all been affected massively, obviously, by this pandemic. Whether it was actually losing loved ones or not being able to be with them, etc. And I think I'll never forget. Actually, really, that quite haunting image, I think.
Yeah, it's
really,
harrowing. The
of
Queen,
the Queen with the mask.
Yeah.
It makes me
dreadful.
quite emotional actually thinking about it. But yes, anyway, thank you very much, all of you. I mean, what a way! I tell you what, it's cracking to see people so lively this morning and getting into the news for us. So thank you so much. But of course, we all know the phrase, don't we? Dogs are forever, not just for Christmas, but year on year, rescue centres across the country prepare themselves to be inundated with unwanted animals come January.
Yet whether the owners have underestimated the responsibility of a dog or the festive period has placed unforeseen pressures on the purse strings, every year more and more dogs end up in shelters after Christmas.
Well, our Wales reporter Lily Hewitson has more for us.
With doe eyes and an infectiously waggy tail, on first glance, Scooter would be the perfect Christmas gift for a loved one, but with multiple health complications, his adopters will need to be patient and loving. Four-legged friends are a popular choice of present at Christmas, but this means dog shelters like Hope Rescue have an extremely busy January, sadly having to rehome unwanted animals. Sometimes people overestimate the work that goes into looking after a puppy, and other times they simply become too expensive.
We always see an increase in the number of strays that come into us in January and the number of owners who are ringing us for help. Now, sometimes that may be an owner who has purchased a dog over the festive period and can't cope, but more often than not, we're seeing that it's people whose situations have become perhaps more desperate over the festive period, perhaps money has become more tight, they're struggling with vet bills, or potentially even the stress of that festive period. People are feeling a bit lower and then they're struggling more with their dog's behaviour or their circumstances changing. So we certainly see a big increase in the demand on our services in the new year. I think potentially a lot of low welfare breeders do a lot more breeding towards the Christmas period. That's people who are breeding more for profit, not for welfare. And then the trap that some people fall into is because they are desperate to get a puppy for Christmas, they perhaps buy a dog that isn't quite suitable for their environment, and then it's quite a stressful time of year anyway, busy. That's quite difficult for a dog to adjust to a home during that busy time of year, and I think then it's a little bit of a perfect storm in a lot of ways.
Maybe Father Christmas left a puppy for you under the tree, but how can you make sure it feels happy and safe in their new home?
So obviously it can be quite exciting if someone has gone and done that for you. So I think the biggest thing to remember is that the dog itself doesn't know it's a present. So as far as the dog's concerned, they're in a new environment, so treat it nice and calm. So don't kind of overhandle them. The first instinct is to go in and cuddle them and kiss them all over, but actually that's going to be really stressful for the dog. So allow them to kind of come around, assess the house, see where they are, and again, keep everything nice and calm, so don't kind of overwhelm them with lots of things happening around them.
So if you're tucking into a turkey with the help of a new puppy today, make sure you're ready to give them a home for life. Lily Hewitson, GB News.
Oh, we'd love to see it. Anyway, right, so coming up, families affected by cancer in the North East are opening charity kindness kits today. So our reporter Rachel Sweeney will tell us exactly how it came about. Stay tuned.
You're watching GB News live across the UK and the world on our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
We are here for you. Don't forget to join our YouTube community by clicking on that subscribe button.
And if you want the GB News app, you can click and catch up on programmes anytime.
We love to hear from you, so email us.
gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Thanks for being part of the GB News family.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of two wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Colin Brazier. I've reported from more than 70 countries around the world, covered wars from Afghanistan to Iraq, from Lebanon to the Balkans. I'm trying to bring that experience, that feel for events, to the studio. And something else. I'm ready to give an opinion. Today's stories with a spark. Brazier from 8 p.m. weekdays on GB News.
Welcome back and happy Boxing Day morning.
And birthday for you.
I know, let's keep doing it. Every opportunity, please. Thank you very much. It is my birthday. Happy Alex Mass.
I imagine there's a cake on the way. Anyway, we'll find out.
Carbs?
Oh, she doesn't want a cake. Everyone cancel the cake.
No. Hundreds of families affected by cancer in the northeast of England are today opening kindness kits given to them by a charity called Fighting All Cancers Together, or FACT as it's known in the region. Our wonderful northeast reporter Rachel Sweeney tells us about the charity's founder and how a little idea became a huge support network for thousands of people.
Joanne Smith was diagnosed with breast cancer at 34. It was her daughter's second birthday and her son was only 7.
I was very well looked after medically, had fantastic treatment, otherwise I wouldn't be sitting here today. But that treatment lasted 4.5 years, so it was a long time out of my life and my family's life. And it was managing your normal life, your day-to-day life, alongside the clinical journey that was the most challenging. And I thought that as I came towards the end of that, I could do something positive out of all the things I'd learned.
Joanne used her experience to set up the charity Fighting All Cancers Together, known as FACT, 13 years ago. A team of just 8 now supports more than 2,000 service users at any one time, those living with cancer and those who are supporting them through it.
It's very good and very caring to everyone. I'm here because of my mum having cancer and she's been very brave through it. And it's been a hard year.
Well, I was feeling ill about February and I got diagnosed with ovarian cancer. I've had chemotherapy through the Freeman Hospital, had an operation in August to have it all removed, and had the rest of my treatment at the Freeman again, and I got told last month that it's all clear. So, happy days.
How does that make you feel listening to that? It's everything that FACT is about. It's why we're here. I mean, FACT in its early days was just going to be a little voluntary signposting group, and we've only grown to do what we do because of the need for what we do. And that just captures that completely. There's a family with a real need, and the FACT team and the FACT family have stepped up to meet that. That's what it's about.
This Christmas, FACT is providing hundreds of families with hampers to help them through the holidays. 511 of these kindness kits have gone to families across the northeast of England who are struggling emotionally or financially. Inside each one is fresh food, household goods, Christmas toys and toiletries. Deliveries are being made across the region by Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
It's just a good feeling that you're doing something worthwhile.
And you get a lot of satisfaction from sort of helping the people in the community and things like that. And you see the good work that the people within the charity do. It's quite nice then to be the end product of that, doing the deliveries and bits and pieces for them.
This team promotes compassion throughout the year. And Joanne has a very special message this Christmas Day.
Be happy, enjoy every moment, cherish people that are close to you. That's certainly something that we see our FACT family doing all year, but Christmas Day does stand out, doesn't it? So we need to make it a special one and just love the people that you have with you at that time.
Very touching stuff.
Yeah, wow, good stuff. Thank you very much, Rachel, for bringing us that report. Now, here's what else is going on today. Chris Whitty is set to be knighted in the New Year's honours list, apparently. So, there's no justice. There he is.
There is indeed. England's chief medical officer will be recognised by Her Majesty the Queen for his frontline efforts in leading the country's response to the COVID pandemic.
Yeah, scaring the living heck out of everyone.
According to various newspaper reports, his deputy, JVT, Jonathan Van Tam, will also receive honours. The Queen paid tribute to her husband in her first annual Christmas message since his death yesterday.
Yes, well, she said, didn't she? If you've not seen it, I would highly recommend the Christmas speech. But anyway, Christmas can be hard for those who have lost loved ones. This year especially, I understand why. She described Prince Philip as well, of course, as her beloved, and she said that she felt his presence over the Christmas period.
Meanwhile, a man armed with an offensive weapon was arrested in the grounds of Windsor Castle on Christmas Day. Thames Valley Police said the man, aged 19 and from Southampton, was found within moments of entering the grounds at 8:30 yesterday morning. He's been arrested on suspicion of breach or trespass of a protected site and possession of an offensive weapon. Police say he did not enter any buildings and members of the royal family had been informed.
Yes, well, volunteers are working at COVID vaccination sites in England today as well, and they were even working yesterday as they push to offer every single adult a booster by the end of the month. Now, NHS England says thousands of first, second and booster jabs were given on Christmas Day as part of its response to the Omicron viral variant threat. Sorry, do you reckon there were loads of people yesterday putting on social media like, it's the best present I could ever have?
Oh, I know. Like,
there's nothing like the gift of life.
Do you know the other thing? I don't get this new thing that people have to take selfies of themselves getting vaccinations and selfies of their lateral flows. Nobody cares.
Honestly,
no one cares.
No one cares. Although I did see a good one that was like when they ask you to do the washing up on Christmas Day, and it was someone with a red pen.
Oh yeah, putting the extra bar.
drawing on the second lateral flow test. I thought that was quite handy. But yes, no, yeah. Well, let us know what you obviously think about all of this. But about 60% of adults have now been boosted, apparently. With a record number of vaccinations taking place in the last 7 days alone. More than 32 million boosters and third doses have now been administered, and officials are urging all eligible people to come forward for their jab as soon as possible to reduce the impact of Omicron. Apparently, which has already reduced the impact of itself, hasn't it? But anyway, crack on.
The $10 billion James Webb Telescope left Earth yesterday on its mission to show the first stars to light up the universe. The observatory was lifted skyward by an Ariane rocket from the Kourou spaceport in French Guiana. Its flight to orbit lasted just under half an hour. Look at that thing, what a beast. Giant makeup mirror. It looks like the thing I've got under the desk there to make sure my mascara hasn't smudged.
Actually, that's true, actually, yeah.
Now, its flight to orbit lasted just under half an hour with a signal confirming a successful outcome picked up by a ground antenna at Malindi in Kenya. Yeah, a giant makeup mirror, isn't it?
It's a giant... We've sent a giant makeup mirror up to space. I think it's fantastic.
Webb, named after one of the architects of the Apollo moon landings, is the successor to the Hubble telescope. We love it, don't we? We love a good bit of space.
Well, I've always been a fan of Hubble, but I must say I'll have to get used.
Is he your favourite space character?
I'll have to get used to Webb. You know.
I was always a big fan of Copernicus from one of his.
Yeah. I always had a soft spot for Copernicus.
Yeah, a bit of Galileo Galilei, whatever it's called. Galileo
Don't get me started. You know.
Could he do the Fandango? We love him.
No, absolutely. But he did make some quite crucial discoveries about space. Right, OK, so Donald Trump's huge golf courses and leisure businesses in Scotland claimed over £3 million in UK government furlough. Absolutely. So what do you make of that? Do you think that was fair enough? It's a business at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the
we could have said no.
We could have said no. I mean, you know, that's just... There were so many, but every time I open the newspaper, there's some other loaded character who is claiming furlough.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that is true. Some people took the absolute mick, though, didn't they? But anyway, yeah. COVID restrictions obviously caused substantial losses at Trump's resorts in Ayrshire and Aberdeen, with both companies reducing their staff. Trump Turnberry saw turnover more than halved, and it recorded a loss of more than £3 million in 2020.
Yeah, the other course and resort at Balmeedy also reported a loss of £1.3 million, showing that, frankly, we should have all been allowed to play golf during the pandemic. You know, hour-a-day exercise, walk around on those courses, thwack some balls.
Thwack some balls.
Thwack some balls.
Absolutely, yes, and then we'll play some golf. And so, anyway, former England and Yorkshire cricket captain as well, Ray Illingworth, sadly has passed away at the age of 89. So the all-rounder who led England to an away Test series victory over Australia, yeah, remember those, in 1970 and 1971, had been undergoing radiotherapy for cancer. Illingworth played 61 Tests for England and helped Yorkshire win 7 domestic titles in 9 years, from 1959 to 1968. Additionally impressive, right, because Yorkshire, at that point, as far as I'm aware anyway, you were only allowed to play for Yorkshire Cricket Club if you were born in Yorkshire.
Yeah.
God's County.
Is it? Is that before they became allegedly a big cesspit of racism?
Yeah,
is
which
that
of course they deny. But yeah, no, seriously though, it's that is really genuinely impressive.
Are you a cricket fan?
Massive cricket fan, yeah.
I don't get it. It's like maths, isn't it? It's maths with people wearing like knitwear.
Human chess. Well, I like it because it's the only sport with 2 regimented breaks for meal times, which I can relate to.
So I like things to be, if you can't potentially die from it, I'm not interested.
Well, you can die in cricket. You could if you turns out well you play it. The only scar I've got on my face, ladies and gentlemen, is from a cricket ball.
See, I thought that was when you were in your untamed youth that you might have had an eyebrow piercing.
No, never.
You look like the type who would have done, though.
Yeah, well, I had an earpiece.
I know, I spotted that.
I was 15 years old, 16 years old.
Shit yourself with a needle.
No, I went to Claire's Accessories. And
I bet you looked like a right
had a big Diamante stud.
Did you?
And I thought I was the coolest lad. I thought I was so cool. And actually, well, it wasn't, was it? But it's never healed. I've still got
that's the thing about ear piercings. They're forever.
Not just for Christmas.
Not just for Christmas. No. Now, meanwhile, sticking with cricket, England are off to another slow start in the 3rd test. What's your tea? What's that? Messing up the deck.
I just scolded myself quite badly on the coffee. We'll move on.
So, England are off to another slow start, unfortunately, in the 3rd test of the Ashes in Melbourne. Joe Root's side are all out for a measly 185 runs in the first innings, with Australia about to bat. England are already 2-0 down in the series and need a strong performance from the bowlers to turn it around on day 1.
Yes, they do indeed. If someone could come in with a first aid kit to nurse my burns, that would be nice at some point. Actually, I'm in quite a lot of pain.
There you are.
Anyway, right, today's weather. Right, here we go again. It'll be dull for many, apparently. Not here, though, with spells of rain and hill snow, classic, clearing away from the northeast to leave a few lingering showers.
I've never... Now, after a year of reopening and closing down in some sectors again, has 2021 been a bad year for Britain's businesses? Well, I don't think it's been a good one.
Well, no, it's not, is it?
That's something
especially not if you work at one of Trump's golf courses.
Quite, exactly. That's something firms in Doncaster are considering. It's one of 39 towns hoping to become a city in 2022 to mark the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. Our Yorkshire and Humber reporter, the glorious Kevin Larkin, has been talking to businesses in the Yorkshire town, which hopes to become a city.
It's been a year when Doncaster's motto has been useful, and it's an attitude shared by the town's leader.
Doncaster is still a great place to live, work and do business. We know our people are strong, dedicated, skilled, creative and resilient, and will do all they can to get back to where they need and want to be.
Doncaster, in a key red wall area of Yorkshire, has had some positive news this year, with a new cinema and a new library and museum opening. As businesses met before Christmas, they too were feeling positive.
We're primarily a mail order company. We've been absolutely rushed off our feet. So mentally, we're actually on the opposite side of the people that have been on furlough. So we've had no time off. We're just literally working. So it's for the business, it has been very good.
2021 has been absolutely amazing for our business. I think like a lot of businesses through COVID, we really took stock of what we were doing and how we were running, and we made changes to run more efficiently, and we've actually seen those rewards come through in 2021.
It's been an adventure. It's been a successful year. But if you would have asked us in March or April what type of year we would have had, we probably wouldn't have guessed that. But things came together. I think the business community really pulled together. I think the employees that we had worked incredibly hard to get us through it. And I think the programs that the government put in place did help.
But 2022 could be a bigger year as Doncaster bids for city status. It has a minster, a university. Now the hope is it will get the title to match and give Donny a boost.
I feel that it deserves it. There's so much inward investment and outward investment. I think the infrastructure's here, the rail network, the airport, obviously, which has got great scope. I generally think that city status is what Doncaster deserves.
It will bring a lot more work, a lot more clout, and hopefully the government will need to then listen to the Doncaster Chamber of Commerce and other chambers in the north because the levelling up process at the moment is a little bit, it depends which side of the levelling you are, because it's slightly uneven at the moment.
I think it would be absolutely amazing for the borough, you know. We need to help raise the aspirations year on year of our people, our place, our workforces, and city status would just help us do that.
The new president of Doncaster Chamber says 2022 could be Doncaster's year.
2022 looks okay at the moment, but that's on the basis that we don't have any unnecessary lockdowns. I think there's a possibility that if we overreact and we go too hard and too early, irrespective of what the Chancellor does, government support is all well and good, but businesses want to do business and they perform better when they're allowed to get on with it.
Well, there we go.
Coming up, a Northern Ireland charity makes children's dreams come true. But first, here's the weather.
It's time to remind ourselves there's always another winter. Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
Now, looking ahead to today's weather, and the UK is looking cold in the north with some hill snow, milder elsewhere with cloud and rain. Well, let's take a look at the details. It will start rather cloudy in the southwest with some bright or sunny spells in places. There will be a few showers for northern coasts and feeling mild for all. However, it will be a cloudy start in the southeast with outbreaks of rain. The cloud will be low, bringing murky conditions and hill fog. Some bright or possibly sunny spells for South Wales, but mostly cloudy here with the odd shower possible. It will be a mild start here. It will also be mild across the Midlands, but overcast and murky with low cloud and hill fog. The cloud will be thick enough to bring some light rain or drizzle at times. Also, a cloudy start in the northeast, but it will also feel cold there too. There'll be outbreaks of rain and hill snow, especially over the Pennines, bringing difficult driving conditions for some time, so be careful if you're setting out in your car in that region. Cloudy and cold for southern Scotland as we start Boxing Day. There'll be patchy outbreaks, rain where the cloud thickens, and also some hill snow over the higher ground. A milder start for those of you in Northern Ireland, but also cloudy. There'll be some showery rain at times, and this will be accompanied by strong winds. Rain and hill snow will be clear east, but remaining rather cloudy with some locally heavy showers in the west. And that is how the weather is shaping up for the rest of the day. Not exactly good.
Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
You're watching GB News live across the UK and the world on our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
We are here for you. Don't forget to join our YouTube community by clicking on that subscribe button.
And if you want the GB News app, you can click and catch up on programmes anytime.
We love to hear from you, so email us.
gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Thanks for being part of the GB News family.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of two wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Colin Brazier. I've reported from more than 70 countries around the world, covered wars from Afghanistan to Iraq, from Lebanon to the Balkans. I'm trying to bring that experience, that feel for events, to the studio. And something else. I'm ready to give an opinion. Today's stories with a spark. Brazier from 8 p.m. weekdays on GB News.
Welcome back. The Northern Ireland Children to Lapland Trust makes children's dreams come true, flying over 100 children a year to Lapland to give them the magical experience of meeting Father Christmas, sleigh rides and much more.
Have you been to Lapland?
I have.
I have.
Have you?
Yeah.
Which bit?
The bit with Santa.
Well, but there's Finnish Lapland, there's Swedish Lapland.
I don't know if you ever finish Lapland. I think, you start Lapland maybe, but you never get to the end. But, yes, no, I thoroughly enjoyed Lapland and my eyebrows froze. And also, the bit where you meet Santa?
I did not meet Santa.
You didn't meet Santa?
I did not do this. I was about, I don't know, 28 years old when I went.
So was I, but anyway. So I met... No, I wasn't. I was younger. And, I went to meet Santa. And, basically, my dad was supposed to be videoing the whole thing, a magical family moment, of course. Back on the old days with the handheld camcorders. And Dad got the wrong room. And he kicked the door in to find another family with Santa.
Kicked the door?
Yeah, kicked the door and he was late. Classic Dad. Kicked the door open, and all we've got on video now is another family meeting Santa.
I want to see Dad kicking the door in. That sounds great. Well, here's probably a load of people who didn't kick doors in Lapland with a Northern Irish charity making kids' dreams come true. Let's take a look.
Oh, Frosty the snowman was alive as he could be. And the children say he'd up and play just the same as you and me.
We have all cursed the restrictions of a COVID Christmas and just how it curtails our plans. But spare a thought for those who may not see another.
The Northern Ireland Children to Lapland Trust was formed 12 years ago, and for the past 12 years, well, in effect, for the past 10 years, we've been taking a plane full of Northern Ireland children up to see Santa Claus up in Lapland. I say only 10 out of the 12 because last year and this year, I'm afraid COVID has affected us very badly indeed. It meant that last year we just couldn't travel to Lapland. It wasn't feasible to take over 100 children, seriously ill children, some terminally ill, to a very cold Lapland.
The innocence of the children's dreams were being brought to life on a flight to the Arctic Circle to see Santa.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Oh, jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle.
For those non-believers, the magic of Lapland is hard to deny. Brought by huskies, skidoos and yes, reindeers to an underground kingdom where ice sculptures, elves and train rides existed. The families of these seriously and terminally ill children shared an experience never to be forgotten.
It's been about mega memories for the three of them, the three children, so it has, and it's been absolutely amazing. It's like something out of a storybook.
Great, it's great to see all the wee ones, isn't it, getting to see Santa Claus, isn't it? Yeah. Good boy. Thanks.
For the past 2 years, this charity has only been able to deliver presents to the children who have had a struggle that most of us couldn't even imagine.
We got all the 110 kids that we were to bring. We got their names and addresses from all the health trusts, and we got them presents to the value of £200, and we distributed those to all the kids in their homes in the week before Christmas. We also get letters from Santa Claus and a video from Santa Claus individually to each of their homes.
I wish I could read this every day about me.
Back in Lapland, there were gifts aplenty. The magic of the day and excitement in everyone's eyes was a gift that would never, ever fade. The charity is so eager to return to its dream-making flights and realises it brings much more to these children than the experience of the day.
We sometimes take these things for granted, and sometimes the feedback that we get really hits home. We had one letter from a mother and said how much it meant to her daughter to be singled out for this, but not only her daughter, the brothers and sisters, the aunts, the uncles, the grannies, their school friends, the whole community took great pride and joy in the fact that this little girl was going to Lapland, and she said it gave her confidence such a boost. And we maybe sometimes don't recognise just how much of an impact it can make.
As this very special Christmas flight kissed the Irish skyline on its homeward journey, it occurred to me that there were two very different emotions on board. Those of the parents who had made precious memories and those of the children who had had their dreams come true. Douglas Beattie, GB News, Belfast.
Well, good morning. It's your Boxing Day breakfast.
your birthday.
And my birthday.
Yes.
With him, Patrick, and me, Alex.
Yes, indeed. Lots on the agenda today. We're talking about the Queen's speech, of course, Omicron, the cricket, as well as finding out about your best and indeed worst Christmas presents.
Plus, as Patrick said, speaking about presents, it is my birthday today, so let's have some fun. We need your help. Get in touch, gbnews@gbnews.uk. Who wants to be miserable on Boxing Day morning?
No, of course not. Of course not. I don't know what you're up to, but if you're very full of still, I mean, yesterday I was doing the evening show and we did a plea and we got loads of responses to this actually of people picturing their other halves asleep on the sofa.
Oh, we had that guy yesterday, didn't we? Mark. Mark sleeping on the sofa yesterday popped up about 1,000 times.
Yes, poor
The
Mark.
system kept churning him out.
Absolutely, yes. Remember the 3 tortoises that we had in the stocking?
Yeah, can I just say we loved playing Exotica from around the world, so do send us photos of whatever random stuff you want to
Christmas
send us.
pets.
The weirder and the more joyful, the better.
We want Christmas pets, OK? gbviews@gbnews.uk or tweet us at gbnews. Send us in your Christmas pets. Anyway, let's do it, shall we? Boxing Day breakfast with Patrick and Alex. Right, well, it's time now, isn't it, I think, to take a look at some of today's newspaper front pages. So what have we got then? The Mirror have more on the Queen's intruder, revealing that he was carrying a crossbow, apparently, and it also splashes the story that tennis sensation Emma Raducanu will receive a New Year's honours list. New Year's honour, even. The Sunday Telegraph, she might receive a list. She's also on the list, but there we go. The Sunday Telegraph leads on apparently dodgy figures being pushed in a bid to make sure that we had higher restrictions. That's, of course, with Jenny Harries of the UK Health and Security Agency, accused of putting out misleading stats on hospitalisations that overstated the risk from Omicron.
What's wrong with these people? Why do they want to lock us up so much?
It's like a lockdown fetish.
They love it.
Yeah.
They do love it. I don't get it. I think it's because they want to be locked down. They just,
I think
they're
it's probably down to communism. You know, it doesn't really matter.
Communism, isn't it?
Doesn't really matter, does it? You know, if no one has a job anymore, we can't afford to eat because in a communist society that's the way the world is. So
that's pretty much.
You laugh, but Independence Age is literally a kind of cabal of comedies, isn't it? That's the thing. Have you not seen that?
I don't know. I need to...
Loads of people on Independence Age are actual members of the...
Oh, Independence Age?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, they're the... Yeah.
What have bad words said about Sage?
Actual Sage. I know Sage are good, but
Sage.
Independence Sage, naughty.
Good. Independence Age, bad.
Naughty.
Anyway, right, OK.
Now, the Independence has Afghans who helped UK left in fear of their lives. The majority of those promised sanctuary are still waiting months on. And a Christmas Day boost for vaccines.
Would you have ever gone to get a jab on Christmas Day?
No, because I'm not weird. But I did come here at like 5 o'clock in the morning, which wasn't ideal.
Well, we were promised dinner by Aldo Zilli, weren't we?
We were promised all sorts of things that never happened.
No, that's not fair. Technically, Aldo Zilli's dinner did happen. Part of me just wishes it didn't. But there we go. Right, so, nice chap. The Observer leads with calls from some Tory MPs for the government not to tighten COVID rules this year. With rising levels of Omicron, there's uncertainty over increased restrictions before the new year. Wales and Scotland have already announced increased restrictions. The front page also reports on a survey that suggests 6 in 10 of us, shock horror, think that Brexit has gone badly.
What a morose, miserable, moribund newspaper.
Oh, good.
Lots of M's.
Newspaper.
Newspaper. Ming paper. Don't care for it.
Well, so what you really think.
Now, the Sunday Times front page is packed with headlines. It suggests the Labour Party has moved into an 8-point lead over the Conservatives after a punishing few weeks for the Prime Minister. And Boris Johnson has vowed to keep schools open despite the rise in Omicron cases.
Yeah, so over to the Mail now, and there's more details on this armed intruder who, of course, broke into the grounds of Windsor Castle as the Queen was celebrating Christmas. Their sources tell them that he was carrying a crossbow and used a rope ladder to scale a metal fence. It's not clear if the intruder was close to the Queen at all or her private apartment, but we suspect not. And last night, a 19-year-old man from Southampton was being held on suspicion of breach or trespass of a protected site and possession, of course, of an offensive weapon.
I understand your pain, leads the Sunday Express. These are the words spoken by Her Majesty the Queen earlier in a deeply personal speech where she empathised with her subjects, saying how much she still misses Prince Philip.
Well, we may not have seen a white Christmas, but the Daily Star warns of 25 days of snow, apparently. Forecasters say we're in for a mild New Year's Eve, but then snow is coming, so you best get your sledges out early, apparently. It's not that early, is it? It's banging season. We're banging sledge season. If you had to get a sledge out, it would be now, wouldn't it?
Well, you wouldn't get one out in July, would you?
Yeah, that would be early. That would be flipping early. Where's he going with that sledge? Oh, he's just ready. He's just ready. Well, no, it's now.
Oh, don't get the snorts come out.
Oh, well.
Stop it. Now, one scenario modelled for government scientists is tough new COVID restrictions that would come in next week and last until the spring. However, Downing Street sources have played down the option of this being implemented. It comes as volunteers continue to work today to roll out booster vaccinations in order to offer every adult in the country one by the end of the month. On Christmas Eve, the UK broke its daily record again for the most confirmed new cases of COVID, with over 122,000, as Omicron continues to spread and cause worry for many scientists.
Well, here to discuss this with us now is Public Affairs Consultant at Hawthorne Advisors. It's Oscar Reddrop. Thank you very much for joining us.
Hey, Oscar.
Hey, what do you make of all this at 122,000, apparently? We're setting records left, right and centre.
I know, but, over the last week or so, we've seen the decoupling of hospitalisations. I think Boris, purely from a political perspective, having worked in Parliament during the pandemic, Boris really needs to hold firm here. We've seen across in Wales the insanity of people being fined for attending their place of work, the increasing restrictions over in Scotland as well. Boris needs to hold firm here.
Yeah, and I mean, it's an interesting scenario we're in, aren't we, where people are accusing Jenny Harries of potentially sort of fudging the stats in order to create this doom and gloom and sort of potentially pave the way to further restrictions. I mean, what on earth is going on when the people who are essentially supposed to be giving independent scientific advice are now being accused of trying to manipulate statistics to force us into lockdowns?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I understand the argument for perhaps modelling for the worst case scenario. I understand that. I think most reasonable people do as well. But the key thing is that when the data from South Africa was suggesting, hey, you know what, guys, this is actually arguably perhaps a good thing. It is causing a milder illness. I'm not one to kick scientists at all. I'm actually one to lay the responsibility now at the feet of politicians and say, they present you with the data, they present you with the modelling. You need to have the kind of steadfastness and the gumption to stand up and say, no, society must now return to normal. That lack of certainty, the doom and gloom of uncertainty that looms over people with families, young people who've had their lives completely halted, and most importantly, especially at this time of year and moving into the new year, businesses.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely spot on, I think, now, when it comes to that, because, it is the uncertainty. And I think when we were talking about the potential for a January lockdown, there were a few days, really. I mean, look, fingers crossed it doesn't happen. There were a few days when I think it looked like it absolutely was going to happen, actually, and it was almost kind of set in stone. And that seemed to be a bit of a departure from medical facts, scientific facts, and certainly economic facts, in a way that apparently our leaders just didn't care about for quite a while, which I found that quite astonishing. But I want to move away, because you're not just here to do everything on Planet Omicron, are you? We're going to go to Windsor Castle now, you lucky lad. Apparently someone else did go to Windsor Castle yesterday, and they were armed with a crossbow. What happened?
This is such an interesting story. I think, and I remember, like, the story kind of came out. It felt like an hour after the Queen's speech. It really makes you realise that security breaches and hugely disastrous threats are sometimes always just around the corner. I don't know about you guys, but I'm genuinely quite intrigued to see what kind of freakish character is revealed in the coming days. I mean, there's a couple of people, I might have a couple of celebrities who I might have even have a bet on to see if it was them, but very, very intrigued. it's a terrifying thought that actually potentially you are always moments away from. I mean, I don't even know what. I mean, awful stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the Queen, sticking on the subject of her Royal Madge, didn't she do a fantastic Queen's speech yesterday? I think we all saw a side to our monarch, which we don't often get to see, a really sort of sentimental, slightly mischievous side of the Queen. She's normally so stoical and held back, isn't she? But she was really, I saw.
Well, she was very upfront about her grief, I suppose, in a way, wasn't she, really? And I think we can all relate to that, can't we? And what did you make of the Queen's speech yesterday?
I mean, from a communication standpoint, it was a complete masterclass. And it's something that I think a lot of politicians could learn a thing or two from. It was personal, it was calm, it was revealing, but it wasn't too it wasn't, it wasn't cringy or, that kind of faux emotion that we see so much, from politicians and also celebrities. I thought it was a complete masterclass, and actually the perfect tonic for what has been, as we've previously discussed, very uncertain few months and a very, very difficult year.
Well, let's have a little look at some of the moments from the Queen's speech.
Although it's a time of great happiness and good cheer for many, Christmas can be hard for those who have lost loved ones. This year especially, I understand why. But for me, in the months since the death of my beloved Philip, I have drawn great comfort from the warmth and affection of the many tributes to his life and work, from around the country, the Commonwealth, and the world. His sense of service, intellectual curiosity, and capacity to squeeze fun out of any situation were all irrepressible. That mischievous, inquiring twinkle was as bright at the end as when I first set eyes on him. But life, of course, consists of final partings as well as first meetings. And as much as I and my family miss him, I know he would want us to enjoy Christmas. We felt his presence as we, like millions around the world, readied ourselves for Christmas.
Oh, well, it makes me quite emotional.
Yeah, did you have a little blub there, Oscar?
I'm not particularly a crier.
I don't cry. I'm a man's man. I haven't cried for years, mate. Yeah, but no, go on, carry on.
No, I have my moments. But rather than tears, in all seriousness, the overriding emotion for me was actually one of pride. Real genuine pride. And I know you referenced newspapers like The Observer earlier there with their rather jaunty poll, and newspapers like that, they like to give the monarchy a kicking. And when I sat there and watched that yesterday, I just thought that was the perfect response.
That's personified, isn't it, actually? And I thought it was a sensational speech, really. And also, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Genuine pride, but also, I think the Queen really is one of the reasons why I do think we are, in many cases, the envy of the world, right? Because we've got her. Yeah. She's ours, she's very much ours. And actually, and frankly, any single other country in the world would love to have her. They'd love it,
wouldn't they?
As their monarch.
And honestly, not to hammer home the point too much, and I don't mean it flippantly. You see some of the speeches and the communications techniques or performance of so many of our politicians, and you just think, just watch that. That is how to deeply connect.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oscar, thank you very much, mate. Pleasure to have you on the show. And thank you for joining us this early on Boxing Day as well. Absolute pleasure to have you on board.
Now, there's been, of course, the honours list coming out, hasn't there?
Yes.
Sticking with things
Are you on it?
No, I don't think
Services to broadcast?
Services to Brexit, like they're going to give a gong to me.
No, well, Nigel Farage is yet to get a gong, isn't he?
He is. No, he is. Well, yeah, he hasn't got a gong.
No,
gongless.
No.
He's a gongless man. He's a gongless man. Who would you gong up?
Where would I gong up?
No, who would you gong up?
Who would I gong up? I'll gong up anyway, mate. But who would I gong up? God, what? That's a big question. Hey, I'll tell you what. I can sense a call to arms here. GBNews.uk. Who would you knight? Who currently is not?
There's a little sort of strange, slightly mentally disturbed cohort of viewers who think you should be Prime Minister. So I expect you'll get some email gongs.
Well, excuse me, you can't talk about our viewers like that. You know, the sheer amount of people who think I should be Prime Minister is undeniable. It's undeniable to the point where it has to happen one day.
I'd live in Christie's land. I think it'd be quite fun.
I tell you what, Patrick Christie's Britain would be great for a week, and then we'd probably all be dead.
I think it would just stop functioning.
Oh, well, it would. So would I.
But no, do tell us who do you think should be getting gongs in the New Year's honours list? Who might have been overlooked and who, frankly, doesn't deserve it? Email us, gbviews@gbnews.uk. Also, keep sending in pictures of festive creatures. Keith has sent in a festive cat. We'll see if we can get that up on screen. We do love a festive pet.
Cat. It's a Bailey in 25.
That does not look festive. That looks more Halloween, can I just say? That's quite a harrowing festive cat.
Excuse me, we can't have that. Bailey's in their dotage. They're obviously a very old cat. Well done, Bailey.
We will try and get Bailey up on the screen a bit later, but send us all sorts of stuff on via the interweb because we love it. Now, coming up.
Well done, Bailey.
Well done, Bailey. We'll be joined by former England cricketer Stuart Meeker to have a chat about England's chances in the Ashes, or lack of chances, as I'm informed.
Yes.
But first, here's the weather.
It's time to remind ourselves there's always another winter. Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
OK. Well, looking at today's weather, and the UK is looking cold in the north with some hill snow, milder elsewhere with cloud and rain. Let's take a look now at the details. So it will start rather cloudy in the southwest with some bright or sunny spells in places. There'll be a few showers for northern coast and feeling mild for all. However, it will be a cloudy start in the southeast with outbreaks of rain. The cloud will be low, bringing murky conditions and, yep, you guessed it, some hill fog. Some bright or possibly sunny spells for South Wales, but mostly cloudy here with the odd shower possible. It'll be a mild start here as well. It'll also start mild across the Midlands, but overcast and murky with low cloud and hill fog, so the cloud will be thick enough to bring some light rain or drizzle at times. Also, a cloudy start in the northeast, but it will feel cold here as well. There'll be outbreaks of rain, more of that famous hill snow that we spoke about earlier, especially over the Pennines, bringing some stuff with it. Anyway, cloudy and cold for southern Scotland. As we start Boxing Day, there'll also be patchy outbreaks of rain, where the cloud thickens and also some hill snow, well, who would have thought it, over the higher ground, a milder start for those of us in Northern Ireland, but also cloudy. There'll be some showery rain at times, and this will be accompanied by strong winds, rain and, here we go, hill snow will clear in the east, but remaining rather cloudy with some locally heavy showers, and that is how the weather is shaping up for the rest of the day.
Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
You're watching GB News live across the UK and the world on our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
We are here for you. Don't forget to join our YouTube community by clicking on that subscribe button.
And if you want the GB News app, you can click and catch up on programmes anytime.
We love to hear from you, so email us.
gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Thanks for being part of the GB News family.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of two wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Colin Brazier. I've reported from more than 70 countries around the world, covered wars from Afghanistan to Iraq, from Lebanon to the Balkans. I'm trying to bring that experience, that feel for events, to the studio. And something else. I'm ready to give an opinion. Today's stories with a spark. Brazier from 8 p.m. weekdays on GB News.
Join us for Political Correction. We're here every Sunday to correct politics and put you, the people, back in charge.
We talk about all areas of the United Kingdom, including Northern Ireland.
Our debate goes way beyond the Westminster Village. It's about the real country. It's about your opinion. So please, we want you to tell us what you think.
This is Political Correction.
Every Sunday morning from 10 a.m. here on GB News.
You're watching GB News live across the UK, the world, and our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
We're here for you. Don't forget to join our community by hitting the subscribe button.
And download the GB News app so you can click and catch up on programmes anytime.
We love to hear from you. Email us at gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Thanks for being part of the GB News family.
Welcome back and happy Boxing Day. With a busy Christmas period crammed with the usual exchange of gifts, there's no doubt that many will flock to shopping centres across the region to make the most of the annual Boxing Day sales. We're here to discuss that. With us is Chief Economic Advisor at the Centre for Economic Affairs, one assumes. Just a Centre for Economic here, which I think that we're missing. It's Centre for Economic Research. There you go. Vicky Price, nonetheless. Good morning, Vicky. Do you think it's going to be good news, or are we expecting a sort of more dampened down Boxing Day sale rush this year?
Well, what we've already seen is that anyone who was thinking of going out shopping has rethought it a little bit. And what had been going on is, of course, that there was a recovery. If you look at the data for November in retail sales, in fact, there was something like 7% up in volume terms from where they were back pre-pandemic, which was quite extraordinary. There had been months of decline, and then October and November were beginning to suggest that perhaps things were going to be returning to normal, and everyone was looking forward to a really good Christmas. And of course, we've seen already evidence that what's been happening in December since the announcement of Plan B is that indeed shoppers have stayed away, and anyone who was asked about this from the retail side has said to the Confederation of British Industry and others that in fact sales were dropping by comparison to where they were even a year ago, and certainly by comparison to November. And the expectation now is that maybe people were holding back a little bit and will be going back to the stores now because, of course, inflation has been going up. The prices they've been paying for things like clothing has been going up. There's something which they hadn't seen for quite some time. So they may have been holding back as well because there is a squeeze now happening because of the rise in inflation that we have seen. So those sales are coming at a good time, but the question is whether the stocks that the retailers have collected through the last couple of months just to make sure they had enough because they thought there would be a bumper Christmas may just be so high that in fact there would be a very, very good bargain for anyone who ventures to the shops. Even though, of course, in London anyway, it's raining.
Yeah, I mean, actually, walking around London on Christmas Eve, it was empty. There's not a person anywhere in sight, and that's normally the day where the streets and shops are crammed with people doing last-minute shopping. But what sort of knock-on effect will this have on us as an economy as a whole if we start seeing sales slump and there isn't a mad sort of rush on Boxing Day to buy things? How does that pan out, and how does that affect the everyday person?
Well, the problem, of course, because consumer spending is one of the highest parts of GDP. In other words, the thing that keeps the economy going is that people going out and spending on all sorts of things, not just in shops, but also, of course, anything else that they may be spending, including, of course, in the retail sales, we include fuel. And if fewer people are moving around because of, not going back to work, because we've been encouraged to stay and work from home a little bit more again, that will affect fuel sales, for example. That's retail sales, again, being sort of negatively impacted by all this. And of course, the confidence, that's the real important thing, whether the consumer has enough confidence to spend in any way, whether businesses then, seeing what's happening, are going to remain confident in terms of going out and investing themselves for the future. If you don't have those two elements going, and we're already seeing a drop in the latest surveys in both consumer and business confidence, then the prospects for growth for the economy as a whole are going to be impacted inevitably. And remember, again, we had some really positive forecasts for what may be happening in 2022. So, in fact, some of the latest indications were that we might be growing at something like 6% in 2022 after something similar in 2021. And that, of course, would make up for the loss that we had in 2020. Well, if what we're seeing right now carries on, and if indeed, as you were saying earlier, there may be restrictions still with us for the next few months and may even get tighter, then those forecasts are just not going to materialise.
Well, look, thank you very, very much for joining us here and whizzing us through that. Hopefully we can get out and about again and they don't lock us down, because it would be economic suicide. I think that was Vicky Price there, of course, whizzing you through what's been going on vis-a-vis the old economics stuff. So there we go.
It's all over my head, I cannot bend my mind towards economics at all. While I was on holiday, I sat there and I had Economics 101 in the back of my little Sicily travel guide. I was being explained how it all worked, and I still don't get it. I don't get it.
No, I suppose not. But anyway, there we go. Right, so here's what else is going on today. The Bishop of Johannesburg, Desmond Tutu, has died at the age of 90, Tata Tutu. And the human rights activist was best known for his anti-apartheid work, coining the infamous term Rainbow Nation to describe the diversity of South Africa. Described by friends as full of love. He was also the first black bishop of Cape Town. Chris Whitty, goodness me, is set to be knighted in the New Year's honours list as well. England's chief medical officer will be recognised by Her Majesty the Queen for his frontline efforts during leading the country's response to the COVID pandemic.
Yeah, according to various newspaper reports, his deputy, Jonathan Van Tam, will also receive honours. The Queen paid tribute to her husband in her first annual Christmas message since his death. Her Majesty said, "Christmas can be hard for those who have lost loved ones. This year especially, I understand why." She described Prince Philip as her beloved and said she felt his presence over the festive period.
Well, meanwhile, a man armed with an offensive weapon was arrested in the grounds of Windsor Castle on Christmas Day. Thames Valley Police said that the man, aged 19 and from Southampton, was found within moments of entering the grounds at 8:30 yesterday morning. He's been arrested on suspicion of breach or trespass of a protected site and possession of an offensive weapon. Police say that he did not enter any buildings and that members of the royal family obviously had been informed.
Volunteers are working at COVID vaccination sites in England today, and they were even working yesterday as the push to offer every adult a booster by the end of the month continues. NHS England says thousands of first, second and booster jabs were given on Christmas Day as part of a response to the Omicron variant threat. A new high of 122,186 daily UK COVID cases were reported on Friday. But about 60% of adults have now received a booster jab in the UK, with a record number of vaccinations taking place in the last 7 days, according to the NHS.
More than 32 million boosters and third doses have now been administered, and officials are urging all eligible people to come forward for their jab as soon as possible to help reduce the impact of Omicron. And space stuff now.
We love space.
The $10 billion James Webb Telescope left Earth yesterday on its mission to show the first stars to ever light up the universe. I just think I'm
mad, it's mad, isn't it? Space-time...
Continuum.
Yes,
yeah. The observatory was lifted skywards by Ariane rocket from Kourou Spaceport in French Guyana. And he said Guinea again there, but no, alas. Its flight to orbit lasted just under half an hour, with a signal confirming a successful outcome picked up by a ground antenna in Kenya.
In Malindi, no less.
In no less than Malindi.
No less than Malindi. Webb, named after one of the architects of the Apollo moon landings, is the successor to the Hubble telescope. Rather a magical, marvellous big piece of machinery.
It's going to be hard out to follow Hubble, isn't it? Yeah, you wouldn't want to follow Hubble, would you? But someone has to.
Someone has. What? Webb?
Well, I don't think Webb's got it in him. I think Webb's got it in him. Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully he doesn't do a David Moyes to the Sir Alex Ferguson. you know, you don't have a job within 6 months.
Now, something if you had the world's biggest telescope that you might be able to see from the furthest reaches of space is Donald Trump's ego. And sticking on Donald Trump, his golf courses and leisure businesses in Scotland claimed over £3 million in UK government furlough money. That's right. COVID restrictions have caused substantial losses at Trump resorts in Ayrshire and Aberdeenshire, with both companies reducing staff. Trump Turnberry saw turnover more than halved, and it recorded a loss of more than £3 million in 2020. The other course and resort at Balmedy also reported a loss of £1.3 million. Larry is looking extra orange in that particular
Oh, what's your problem? What's your beef with Trump?
I don't have beef, he's just orange.
I suppose
I don't think that's not deniable. If you've got eyes, you can see that.
Yeah, I suppose that is true, yes. Anyway, right, OK, former England and Yorkshire cricket captain Ray Illingworth sadly has passed away at the age of 89. The all-rounder who led England to an away Test series victory over Australia in 1970 and 1971 had been undergoing radiotherapy for cancer. Illingworth played 61 Tests for England and helped Yorkshire win 7 domestic titles from the years 1959 to 68.
Meanwhile, staying in cricket, England are off to a rather slow start in the third Test of the Ashes in Melbourne. Joe Root's side are all out for a measly 185 runs in the first innings, with Australia about to bat.
I was going to say, I'll go back later and watch the highlights, but there won't be any, will there? It'll just be a procession of us walking back to the pavilion. But anyway, there we go. Well done, England. England are already 2-0 down in the series and need a strong performance, which they're not getting, from the bowlers to turn it around on day one. Well, today's weather as well. It will be dull for many, apparently, with spells of rain and hill snow, classic.
The famous hill snow.
Massive hill snow. Away from north eastwards to leave a few lingering showers.
Got to watch that hill show.
Oh, you got to.
Wondrous, even though it might be dull outside, it's joyful in here. Boxing Day morning, we have a fighting fit Boxing Day panel, hangovers cured, full of vim and vigour, ready to drag us through today's news stories. We are joined by broadcasters Ella Whelan, Andrew Eborn and Nabila Ramdani. Ella, what else has been catching your eye today?
Well, why don't we change it up a bit? It's not Omicron and not kind of depressing news.
Good.
Has never, ever divided the country. Brexit.
Oh, here we go. Oh, right, OK, fine, all right, whatever. I dared to dream for a second.
But I think this is an interesting story because on the front page of The Observer, it covers this opinion poll which claims that 6 in 10 voters say that Brexit has gone badly. Now, you might expect someone like me as a Leave voter to scoff at this and say, oh, it's just, you know, it's The Observer being The Observer. Yeah. But actually, I think a lot of Leave voters...
Ella, I'm afraid we've got a rather unceremonious break to crash into for various reasons, so that is what we're going to be doing right now. But do stay there, don't go anywhere, we're going to just nip off. Enjoy watching a few adverts and then we'll catch up again in a second. Here you go, viewers.
You're watching GB News live across the UK and the world on our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
We are here for you. Don't forget to join our YouTube community by clicking on that subscribe button.
And if you want the GB News app, you can click and catch up on programmes anytime.
We love to hear from you, so email us.
gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Thanks for being part of the GB News family.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of 2 wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Colin Brazier. I've reported from more than 70 countries around the world, covered wars from Afghanistan to Iraq, from Lebanon to the Balkans. I'm trying to bring that experience, that feel for events, to the studio. And something else. I'm ready to give an opinion. Today's stories with a spark. Brazier from 8 p.m. weekdays on GB News.
Well, welcome back. I hope you saw some things you might want to buy in the Boxing Day sales. And sorry for that rather Irish exit from the
What's
paper
an Irish
review.
exit?
An Irish exit is when you're at a party and you don't tell anyone you're going, you just go.
Oh.
Go to the party without saying a word.
I think we should have done that with the EU.
No, we should have done.
Bye.
We should have. Forget Brexit, let's have an Irish exit. But yeah, well, let's get back into the Boxing Day papers. Apparently there's a bit of crackling and noise interference on the microphones. We've sorted those out now, so we can go back to speaking with Ella Whelan and Andrew Ebon. Ella, now, we were talking Brexit, not the Irish exit, but Brexit, so let's crack on with that.
I don't believe it was anything to do with microphones. I think you just cut me off there because I said the B word. But anyway, back to Brexit. The thing about this poll in the Observer is that I think it actually does reflect the views of a lot of Leave voters. 26% of Leave voters said that Brexit had gone worse than they expected. Now, the crucial thing is that doesn't mean that 26% of voters or more didn't want to vote for Brexit or regret it or have changed their mind. But if you look at what's happened since 2016, the massive delays in enacting the vote, and then we've now just been through 18 months, coming up to 2 years, of assaults on democracy in the form of governments bringing in emergency legislation, the constant threat of lockdown. The D word, never mind the B word, Brexit, the D word, democracy, is very under threat. And I think for most Leave voters, what we were voting for was an extension of democracy, the idea that ordinary people would have a bigger say in British politics, and that hasn't played out. Boris Johnson isn't the Brexit hero. He hasn't got liberty written into, flowing through his veins. So, a little bit of depressing news, but I think it really captures the reality of what people are feeling.
But it's interesting because, you often wonder, when people say Brexit's gone badly, what do they mean? They never really cite reasons. We had lorry driver shortages, but a lot of that was down to the fact that we weren't able to produce HGV licences, and those lorry driver shortages were also happening in America, never part of the EU. We were told that there were going to be no turkeys for Christmas. There were so many left over that they're all about £2.
Well, there was a pigs in blankets crisis.
There was. It's the same doom-mongering, isn't it? But the thing about Brexit, it's a blank canvas, isn't it, upon which we write our nation's future. And arguably, we haven't been able to do much of that, given that there's been a pandemic. Andrew, tell us.
Well, a couple of things. The great British break-off, as they say. And you're right. The reason for shortages is because of fear. And nothing spreads quicker than fear. That's why people panic buy.
Yes.
It's crazy, crazy stuff. A couple of things. First of all, Desmond Tutu, a charismatic character.
Amazing.
Really sad that he's passed. He, very wisely, paved the way for the end of apartheid in South Africa. He won the Nobel Prize for that. And he wisely said it was jaw, not war. And if you want peace, you don't talk to your friends, you talk to your enemies. One of my lovely quotes from him is that if you are neutral in situations of injustice, you've chosen the side of the oppressor. If an elephant has its foot on the tail of a mouse and you say that you are neutral, the mouse will not appreciate your neutrality. A charismatic character, a sad loss to the world, but he leaves behind a phenomenal legacy, Desmond Tutu. I was going to talk about, however, honours and honours for other people, because it's in the papers. It's that time of year again, where names which you hadn't heard this time last year, such as Emma Raducanu.
Yes,
she can. I love it. So she's up for a gong. See what I did there?
Oh, you love it.
And MBE, no less. So she's up for one of those. There's also in line Craig. Daniel Craig is apparently going to be honoured with a CMG. He doesn't know it yet. He'll act surprised. And what that is, it's a high award which is usually handed to senior diplomats. And it's basically because he's James Bond.
This is I'm sorry, but this is mental. We can't. It's not.
I love it. It's got to be good.
It's definitely blurring the reality between fact and fiction, isn't it?
I'll tell you what else though. What is brilliant? We had Sir Lewis Hamilton.
Yes.
You might remember he was just about a week or so ago.
Services to Monaco.
There is Sir Sterling Moss. There was Sir Frank Williams. I did a lot for Formula One. I used to look after the host broadcaster in Japan, Fuji Television. And one of the strange names which is missing in amongst all these knights is the founder, the person who created Formula One and took it from basically a minority sport into the multi-billion-dollar business that it is today. And what I would like to do is to find some sort of recognition for the founder of the sport, the F1 Supremo, who is Bernie Ecclestone.
I love Formula One. So I don't just love it. I adore it. I'm addicted to it. I'm hooked on it. I can't live without it.
Really?
Yeah, do you know what? I asked GB News if I was going to come in and present on my birthday. I wanted Sebastian Vettel jumping out of a birthday cake.
Hey, well,
Where is
listen.
he?
Well.
Where is he? That's what I want.
It'll only be a matter of time, I'm sure.
I'm sure he's watching this morning.
Right, bring Vettel in.
Well like Vettel. Well like Vettel. But no, Sir Lewis Hamilton, he is, without doubt, one of the sport's greats. There's no denying it. What anyone thinks about his activism off track, on track, he is just phenomenal. And I love the fact he's been knighted. I think it's really cool that we've got Sir Lewis. Big fan.
Well, I mean, look, just sort of from a sporting sense alone, I mean, he's undeniable, isn't it? He deserves it. I think
he's a great ambassador as well. People have got like a real bee in their bonnet about him. I know they don't like the activism. I'm not the biggest fan of some of it, but actually he's, in Lewis's mind, he is doing these things for good reasons. And every time you see him interviewed, when you look at the shambles that was that last race, frankly, the whole season, the stewards were on acid, weren't they? But when you look at it, he's held himself with such decorum and dignity through it all.
I thought he did, actually, and apparently he might get fined for not turning up to the, the final.
He should have turned round and turned up for the awards ceremony. That's part of the rules. 6.6 says you have to turn up and congratulate the other person as well. But there might be other reasons that he didn't go. What's interesting about Lewis and the fact that it went right to not just the last race of the season, but the last lap, is that Fuji Television used to have the Japanese Grand Prix at the end of the season. And it always used to be terrible for the ratings if the championship and both the drivers and constructors was decided mid-season. Because that would affect it. What I loved about this, and it was Hollywood movie stuff, is it was right to the wire.
Well, and it was at equal points, wasn't it? First time that had happened in 75 years or something.
Absolutely.
Utterly phenomenal. I could talk about Formula One all day.
Well, you're very good at it. Absolutely. Ella, has anything else caught your eye?
Yes, there's just to take it in a completely different direction, from sport to the arts, there's a piece in The Observer here on page 13, which is an unusual piece about Tara Monroe, who's an academic, found a bunch of paintings, oil paintings, in the Leicester Museum and Art Gallery, just thrown to the side. And they were what's called Castor paintings, which is they depict periods of colonial time, quite racist depictions of how life was. And instead of doing the thing that is usually the knee-jerk reaction to paintings from history that depict difficult things to think about or talk about and banning them, Tara's decided she's got funding to put on a new exhibition to look at these, and she's actually calling it a kind of uncancelling. And I just think that's quite a unique take particularly in the arts at the moment, when so much of the drive is to shield viewers from being able to go and make decisions about things. She's taken the leap to put something on, so looking forward to Tara Monroe's exhibition in 2023.
Fantastic stuff. Thank you very much, both of you. We will, of course, be returning to you throughout the show. We appreciate all of your efforts whizzing through the papers for us, so thank you very much for that. Now, today marks the start of the Boxing Day sales. That's right, and if you happen to have a birthday in the middle of January, it really is great news for you. But they're opening their doors to the public at 11 a.m, apparently.
Yeah, our Yorkshire and Humber reporter, Anna Riley, is live in Leeds City Centre.
Hey.
Anna, a bit early to start your shopping, isn't it? What are you expecting to see today?
Good morning to you both, and happy birthday to you as well, Alex. Yes, I'm at Leeds Trinity Shopping Centre. Like you say, stores aren't opening till 11, and actually not all stores are opening today. Some retailers like Sainsbury's and Marks and Spencer have decided to be very friendly today to their staff and given them the day off. And last Boxing Day, it saw high street shops closed, so obviously people couldn't go out and do their Boxing Day shopping due to lockdown. This year, stores are open, with shoppers being able to make the most of those bargains, spend a bit of Christmas money that they've got. And traditionally, Boxing Day sales took place mainly in store, with keen shoppers lining the streets. We've all seen Next at 6 in the morning, other years with people lining up to buy their goods, and even camping overnight as well. But this year, with the online shopping boom and with many people isolating due to COVID, it's predicted that there's going to be a lot more online sales rather than in-store shopping. And I spoke to the British Retail Consortium, and a senior retail analyst there told me that an increasing number of consumers are shopping online for Boxing Day bargains, and given the global climate, this trend will no doubt continue. They said Boxing Day tends to be a busy time for specific non-food products like furniture, where the post-Christmas sales tend to be more significant that those occur before Christmas. Now, it's expected that tech's going to be a real one that people are going out and spending on this year. And if you're in the market for Apple AirPod buds, they're the ones that are going to be showing a real discount. Here we've got an Apple store, so I'll be expecting to see shoppers coming along maybe to the Apple store today to make the most of those discounts. And I'll be here throughout the morning, keeping my eye on whether it's going to get busy, and going out and speaking to shoppers, asking them what they're buying today, and I'll keep you updated throughout the morning.
There we go, Anna. Thank you very, very much. It's been fantastic to have you on. And happy Christmas. I hope everything's gone really well for you. You've had a lovely Christmas day yesterday as well. Maybe buy yourself something in the Boxing Day sales as well. Treat yourself. Why not? Anna Riley there, of course, reporting to us. Now, meanwhile, in the cricket, England are off to yet another slow start in the third test of the Ashes. Joe Root's side were bowled out for a measly 185 runs in the first innings in Melbourne. But England are already 2-0 down, of course, so we can't really afford to lose this one, that's for sure, in this series. And they needed a strong performance from the bowlers. They will need a strong performance from the bowlers. Australia apparently are already underway with the bat. Well, joining us now is former England cricketer Stuart Meaker. Stuart, it's not happening for us, is it, mate?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's rather less Christmas Miracle and more Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, here he is.
I've been thinking about it. No, to be fair, it's quite hard viewing. When you're down, you're rarely down, and sadly England lost the toss in this one and were put on quite a green wicket out in Melbourne. It's quite green for their usual type Boxing Day pitch, because they obviously usually win it the last all 5 days and make more ticket sales. But sadly, England didn't exactly bat amazingly well. I know the score obviously reflects that, but, you know, when you put it on a green wicket, you have to fight for and scrap for every single run. And sadly, there were a few senior players probably look back on their shots and think, probably shouldn't have done that. You know, particularly Joss Buttler, when he hauled out to the spinner down in the deep mid-wicket boundary, and it sadly just didn't look great for a team that are really scrapping and fighting to save this Ashes series. So, yeah, a bit sad to see that. And then obviously, you know, you sort of think, well, it's you can only judge it when both sides are in, and they're already a third of the way there with the bat on day one, and we've managed to get one wicket, so that's quite important. David Warner got out to the bowling of James Anderson, so that's a glimmer of light, but it's been pretty glib viewing on Boxing Day, sadly.
What do you think it is now? Do you think it's a mindset thing? I mean, all of the momentum is with the Australians, isn't it, at the moment?
Yeah, look, we have to bear in mind it's a tough series always going out there in Australia, and even great sides have been sort of brushed to one side when they've gone out and played over there. England are still going through a transition. They're still bringing in through a lot of young players, young talent. They are finding their feet, but there has to be some questions asked over the general overall performance of the Test team at the moment. We've had a lot going our way as cricket fans and cricket spectators of the last sort of decade, especially when it comes to Test cricket, and also in the one-day format and the T20 format. We've had a lot of finals, semi-finals, which we haven't done in years. Now, sadly, we're just going through a little bit of a transition where we're just trying to bleed through a lot of young talent, and we're going to have performances like this, sadly.
Do you think Joe Root's copying it a bit too much? I know Ian Bell came out, didn't he, and said that he backs him completely and that he's almost carrying the side with the bat, this, that and the other. But obviously, naturally, questions will be raised about his captaincy, won't they, just because they're losing, I suppose?
I mean, questions are always asked of a leader when your team are not performing well. I don't think there's a lot more than Joe Root that Joe Root could actually do. He's literally carrying the team with his bat. He's just, well, if he goes on and scores a few more runs in the second innings, he could potentially break the record for the most runs scored in a Test season. Oh, wow. So, I mean, that's an incredible stat when you've had such a poor year as a team. If the team were doing well, it might have been very different. I don't think it's necessarily his fault. Yes, there's always times when he could make changes at certain times or be a bit harsher with his selections and so on and so forth. But I think it's just an underperforming side and a new, young, fresh side mixed in with some senior hats as well. So not a lot more that he can do, I'm afraid.
No.
Don't look at me.
You're into your cricket, Alex, aren't you?
I went to watch cricket once.
Yeah? How did it go? She got slaughtered.
Well, no, but my brother convinced me to go to the Oval because he promised me this thing where everyone puts their pint glasses down.
Oh, the snake, the beer snake, yes, absolutely.
I went to that, and it was banned.
It was banned?
Banned.
World's gone mad,
So I was
mate.
like, well, I gave cricket a chance, and it let me down.
World's gone mad. Well, give it another chance. How much of an input in selection will Joe Root have? Does it vary from captain to captain? Some captains not want any input, some want all of it?
No, I think he will have some say. He has the call over on the pitch, so he's definitely part of that selection committee or selection panel. You know, at the end of the day, it'll be his sort of head on the line if like you say, England don't do very well. So he has to have a say. But because it's not just him and the coach, sometimes if the coach and the rest of the selection panel have a bit more of a stronger feel, they can veto his decision on the day. So, yeah, he has a say. I think he probably feels at times he wish he could have a bit more of a say, especially when it's not going so well.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Absolutely. I hope you had a good Christmas, by the way. I've been quite rude and not asked you. It was all right?
It was fantastic, mate. Absolutely fantastic. Nice and chilled, just with the mum and partner.
Oh, fantastic. Well, good stuff, mate. Fantastic stuff. And, of course, Stuart, they're whizzing you through all of the cricket. Hopefully, next time he comes in, we might have some better news for us, Stuart Meeker, who's been, unfortunately, having to pick through quite a miserable Ashes series for us so far, but he's doing his best to make it fantastic for us. Thank you very much. Well, in this year's address to the nation, Her Majesty the Queen spoke poignantly about her late husband in an emotional address to the nation, didn't she?
Yeah, last night, Dr. Gavin Ashenden, former Anglican bishop and former chaplain to the Queen, spoke to GB News about his thoughts on her moving speech.
I thought it was very beautiful. Isn't it wonderful the way she embodies the nation's great-grandmother so beautifully? She divided it into 3 parts, and each of them was very personal and special. She talked about Philip and the experience of bereavement and loss, and that will talk to so many people who have lost people they've loved this year to death, COVID or otherwise. She talked about accessing the inner child within us, and that's probably a very sensible challenge to us at this dark part of the year when a lot of people are finding it difficult to make ends meet and to manage. And then finally, she talked about Jesus and the way in which he had been the bedrock of her life and experience. All of our lives have been affected by coronavirus. I was looking forward to welcoming my daughter home for Christmas, and she's now sat in a bedsit hundreds of miles away all by herself. The Queen wanted to speak to all of us who've had our lives affected by illness, by loneliness, by isolation, by deprivation. So it was very important that she did do so. But the thing that made me laugh, actually, was when she put in that special bit about carols where you have to know the right tune. And she was obviously putting in a dig at some experience of some idiot changing the tune to something unfamiliar that we don't know and saying, look, we need some handholds in life, and the right tune to the right carol is one of them. I thought that was very funny, and it will have touched a number of people as well, alongside her solidarity in the face of COVID. But I think in the end it comes by finding a deeper meaning for our humanity and finding a way so that we can live life without fear. We can find values of love and forgiveness and hope, and finding in God a companion, which of course is what Christ means. Christ came to be born so that we could put a face to God, put words and a voice to God. I think that one of the things that COVID does is to strip us back to essentials, and for many of us remind us that we need a faith, a real living faith, to make our way through the burdens and the difficulties that life can sometimes throw at us, as it has done this year.
Oh, it was an amazing speech. I blubbed like a baby.
Yeah, really. It's just kind of a quiet... You know what? The contrast, right? The contrast between Meghan and Harry and the Queen. You know, it's class, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's really...
She didn't really mention them. She did mention welcoming new grandchildren, but she name-checked...
William.
Everyone else, yeah,
And
William.
she name-checked Charles. But that's good. I'm sorry. So what? I'm not being funny, you know. I must say, I think...
That's our royal family.
Look, I think you have to... I think you have to start
say.
asking yourself some serious questions, don't you? If you are with someone and it costs you friends, family, the country of your birth, your former life, maybe there's an issue there. I'm just saying.
One would, yeah.
Maybe there's an issue.
Red flags.
Yes. Yes.
Now, coming up, we'll be taking a look at the latest headlines making today's Boxing Day papers with our amazing guest panel.
It's time to remind ourselves there's always another winter. Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
Well, it's the weather again. Looking ahead to today's weather, and the UK is looking cold in the north with some hill snow, milder elsewhere with cloud and rain. So let's take a look at those finer details. It'll start rather cloudy in the southwest with some bright or sunny spells in places. There'll also be a few showers as well for northern coasts and a feeling of mildness for all anyway. However, it will be a cloudy start to the day in the southeast with outbreaks of rain. The cloud will be low, bringing murky conditions and indeed hill fog. There'll possibly be sunny apparently in Wales, South Wales that is, but mostly cloudy here with the odd shower possible. It'll be a mild start there as well, and it'll also start mild across the Midlands and overcast and murky with low cloud and hill fog. The cloud will be thick enough to bring some light rain or drizzle at times. Also a cloudy start in the northeast, but it will feel cold here as well. There'll be outbreaks of rain and, hill snow, especially over the Pennines, bringing difficult driving conditions for a time. Cloudy and cold for southern Scotland as we start Boxing Day. There'll also be patchy outbreaks of rain where the cloud thickens and also some hill snow, over the higher ground. A milder start for those of us in Northern Ireland, but also cloudy, and there will be some showery rain at times, and this will be accompanied by strong winds. Rain and hill snow will clear east, but remaining rather cloudy with some locally heavy showers in the west. And that's how your weather is shaping up for the day. You are welcome, world.
Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
You're watching GB News live across the UK and the world on our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
We are here for you. Don't forget to join our YouTube community by clicking on that subscribe button.
And if you want the GB News app, you can click and catch up on programmes anytime.
We love to hear from you, so email us.
gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Thanks for being part of the GB News family.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of two wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Colin Brazier. I've reported from more than 70 countries around the world, covered wars from Afghanistan to Iraq, from Lebanon to the Balkans. I'm trying to bring that experience, that feel for events, to the studio. And something else. I'm ready to give an opinion. Today's stories with a spark. Brazier from 8 p.m. weekdays on GB News.
Good morning. It's your Boxing Day breakfast.
And your birthday.
And my birthday. So thanks to all you viewers who have emailed me in telling me that I'm shrill and such the like. I love those sorts of positive messages on my birthday. Keep them coming.
Do you want me to stop emailing?
No, I want nice emails. Nasty emails. It's my birthday.
Oh, well. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Yes. Lots on the agenda. We're talking about the Queen's speech, Omicron and the cricket, as well as finding out about your best and worst Christmas presents.
Plus, speaking about presents, as Patrick said, it is my birthday, so let's try and have some fun. And we need your help. Do get in touch. gbviews@gbnews.uk. Let's make this Boxing Day a nice, positive, happy, slow stagger into 2022.
Let's make Boxing Day great again.
Let's make Alex Mass great again.
Yes, Alex Mass, fantastic. Yes. Well, anyway, let's do it, shall we? Boxing Day breakfast with Patrick and Alex.
Woo. It is, of course, time to look at some of today's newspaper front pages as you are getting up. First, let's start with the Mirror, who have more on the Queen's intruder, revealing that he was carrying a crossbow. It also splashes with the story that tennis hero Emma Raducanu will receive a New Year's honour. Much deserved too, I say.
Indeed. Well, the Sunday Telegraph leads on dodgy figures apparently being used in a push for tighter restrictions. So Jenny Harries of the UK Health Security Agency is accused of putting out misleading stats on hospitalisations that overstated the risk from Omicron.
You know, it's interesting because on the auto cue, it actually just says dodgy, not dodgy statistics. And it reminds me of the 90s band. Imagine if they were being used to push stats.
Push that.
Dodgy. If it's good enough for you, it's good enough for me.
Anyway, some stuff there.
I think they'd make a good COVID press conference. Let's push for that.
Well, it'd be better than witty, wouldn't it?
It would be. It would be.
Anything's better than witty.
It's so witty.
Not for me.
Now, The Independent has Afghans who helped the UK left in fear of their lives. Majority of those promised sanctuary are still waiting months on. And on Christmas Day, there's a boost for vaccines. The Observer, that merry, delightful, optimistic, happy, patriotic paper, leads with calls from some Tory MPs for the government not to tighten COVID rules this New Year. With rising levels of Omicron, there's uncertainty over increased restrictions before New Year. Wales and Scotland have, of course, already announced increased restrictions. The front page also reports on a survey that suggests 6 in 10 of us think Brexit has gone badly.
That's who'd have thought it. Well, anyway, the Sunday Times, their front page is packed with headlines. It suggests that the Labour Party has moved into an 8-point lead over the Tories after a punishing few weeks for the Prime Minister. And Boris Johnson has vowed to keep schools open despite a rise in Omicron cases. Do you think he will?
Keep schools open? Yeah, I reckon so.
I reckon he will.
I reckon
he has to, no?
There's going to be a mess otherwise.
Yeah, a hot mess.
Now, the Mail have more details on that armed intruder who broke into the grounds of Windsor Castle as the Queen celebrated Christmas. Their sources tell them he was carrying a crossbow and used a rope ladder to scale a metal fence. It is not clear if the intruder got close to the Queen or her private apartment. Last night, a 19-year-old man from Southampton was being held on suspicion of breach or trespass of a protected site and possession of an offensive weapon.
Yes, well, absolutely. I understand your pain. Now, that's the lead on the Sunday Express. These are the words spoken by Her Majesty the Queen earlier today in a deeply personal and emotional speech where she empathised with her subjects, saying how much she still misses Philip.
I know, we all do.
We all do, really. I mean, there's that really iconic picture, isn't there, of him dressed up as one of the guards, you know, and he's surprised that she comes out to do one of the ceremonies that she does, and he's stood there. Have you seen that one?
He was such a funster, wasn't he?
Oh, he's such a fun-loving guy.
Such a funster, such a bon vivant.
Yeah, he was really. They don't really make them like him anymore.
They
I think he was a certain type of chap, wasn't he? Really, maybe really from a certain era. I think. You know, I don't think there's too many Prince Philips.
I think the greatest generation.
The greatest generation, actually. And then you've got people, you know, like Femi, who just sit there and serenade people on digital keyboards and complain about the EU.
It's my birthday. Did you have to remind
me? It's a different. My point is, it's a different generation because they're the kind of people. They're the kind of people, frankly, aren't they, who are waiting for the older lot to die so that they can rejoin the European Union.
Do you know what really worries me? Actually, you know, they talk about the greatest union, or the greatest generation, and the bravery that people exhibited. You know, those of us are late grandmothers and grandfathers, really. And you look at people today, just want to lock themselves in their houses, order rubbish off Amazon and get upset at statues.
Yeah, it's shocking, isn't it? Shocking.
Now, we may not have seen a white Christmas, but the Daily Star warns of 25 days of snow. Forecasters say we're in for a mild New Year's Eve, but then snow is coming. So you best get your sledges.
I like the way they've printed that as absolute fact.
Absolute fact.
Absolute
25.
Fact. Very definitely, 100%, there's going to be 25 days of snow and ice, and you, ladies and gents, can take that to the bank. When there isn't, which there won't be, 25 days of snow and ice.
Depends where. There'll be hill snow. You can guarantee there'll be hill snow. It'll be rubbish, but with hill snow.
Yes. Oh, well, anyway, it's Boxing Day, of course, which means leftovers and the Boxing Day sale. So we can go live now to our East England reporter, Amelia Harper. Thank you very much for joining us, Amelia. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. Thank you for all of your efforts throughout the course of this year so far. But what can you tell us about these Boxing Day sales?
Well, I'm going to be heading to Oxford Street, the capital's flagship shopping destination, for about 10 a.m. That's when the sales should open. Most of them start at about around midday, but this is typically the busiest shopping day in the UK. However, many of the shops, amid the spread of this Omicron COVID variant, are keeping their doors closed today, like Next, Aldi and M&S. As I said, this is of course because London particularly has been hit by this new variant. Earlier in the week, we saw over 100,000 cases for the first time in the pandemic, and that is really hitting retailers at the moment. Christmas Eve footfall actually in central London was 30% lower than the previous Friday, and London actually saw the biggest drop anywhere in the UK. In other parts of the UK, that drop was 10%. But in some good news for retailers, online footfall went up by 14%. And that seems to be echoing this move that we are all making to move and shop online amid this coronavirus, a continuing pandemic, really. And interestingly, flagship store Harrods in Knightsbridge actually launched their Boxing Day sales in a week before Christmas in an attempt to sort of spread out this Boxing Day rush amid what they are calling ongoing trading difficulties. So we know exactly how hard it is for retail at the moment. Earlier in the week on Tuesday, the Chancellor Rishi Sunak did pledge £1 billion to go towards hospitality and leisure. However, not very much was pledged for retail, mainly through government grants. So they aren't seeing much help from the government. There aren't any restrictions, that is to be said, but they are still seeing the impact of this reduced footfall. But how much are people going to spend? Well, a survey of about 2,000 adults by Barclaycard Payments has found that consumers are set to shop from home. So not so good news for in-person stores. However, they are going to spend more online than previous years. And I'll tell you exactly how much they say they're going to spend £247 in the new year sales. That's an increase on £85 from last year. So I think also, if I have a look at the weather outside, it is looking distinctly biblical. So I think that might also have a little effect on the sales today, but I will be back later through the programme to tell you exactly how it's going and how many people are out and about.
Amelia, thank you very much, and good luck braving the crowds later. Although saying that, it was absolutely desolate on Christmas Eve in London. Absolutely desolate, deserted.
Yes, indeed. It is sad, really, because this will normally be a time when hospitality and shops and everything can make hay, and instead they're just empty.
Yeah.
But there we go. We've had quite a lot of birthday messages in for you, Alex.
I know. I mean, thanks, people. Quite like that.
Kindly accept our birthday wishes.
Oh, thank you.
Where's that from? That's from Anthony. There you go, Anthony.
Thank you, Anthony.
Great that you two have come together and see smiley faces on TV, and happy birthday, Alex. We know it's your birthday, so happy birthday. There you go. Philip has been in touch.
Good. Philip, you're a good man.
Yeah.
You're a much better man than Christopher, who sent in a very unpleasant email. He called me a screeching banshee. So do you know what, Christopher? I hope you have a dreadful Boxing Day. Now, yesterday, we heard the Queen's annual Christmas address. Where have you gone?
Sorry, Ashley. Yeah, go on. You have a dreadful Boxing Day.
Yeah, the fight back begins. You can't just email someone on their birthday and say I'm a fake blonde bimbo and a screeching banshee. I mean, Christopher, you've never met me. You don't know my ways. I'm not screeching. I'm not even fake blondes, just highlighted. Highlighted, it's different.
Oh, look, I am sorry for using that fake name and emailing in. I must.
Yeah, it's actually Christie's. No.
Oh, well. Anyway,
moving on.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Don't let them get you down.
They are getting me down.
Okay,
It's not what you want when you got up at 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah, well, OK, all right. Well,
what's supposed to be your special day?
Yes. Well, it can still be your special day. I mean, the beauty of this is we finish in 50 minutes and you can go out and actually enjoy your special day.
I'm enjoying it now with you.
All right. Well, anyway, yesterday we heard, of course, the Queen's annual Christmas address. Her Majesty gave a more personal message after the death of her husband, Prince Philip, in April. Let's have a listen to some of it.
Although it's a time of great happiness and good cheer for many, Christmas can be hard for those who have lost loved ones. This year especially, I understand why. But for me, in the months since the death of my beloved Philip, I have drawn great comfort from the warmth and affection of the many tributes to his life and work, from around the country, the Commonwealth, and the world.
Now, the Queen isn't spending Christmas at Sandringham today because of concerns over the rising number of Omicron cases. Instead, she's in Windsor with the Prince of Wales and the Duchess of Cornwall.
Yes, well, let's speak now to royal commentator Charles Ray. Charles, fantastic to have you on the show. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry
Have a
Christmas,
good day.
morning, Charles.
Merry Christmas to you both, and many happy returns, Alex. And you're not a screaming banshee to me.
Oh, I appreciate that. That means the world. Now, another non-screaming banshee, the Queen, wonderful monarch of this realm. It was a really moving speech, wasn't it? And I think to me, it was a seminal moment. It was a very historic moment because we don't normally get access to the Queen's humour, the Queen's sensitivity, the Queen's warmth in the way that we did yesterday.
No, it was the most personal and poignant speech that I've ever heard the Queen make. And you mentioned earlier on that you welled up, and I think most people would have been exactly the same. To be perfectly honest, when you saw that lonely woman sitting there and, you know, opening her heart to the nation, which is not something that she normally does, and explaining, you know, how the tragic and great loss that she was feeling with the death of Prince Philip, you couldn't help but, you know, want to just give it a cuddle, to be perfectly honest.
Well, absolutely. No, I mean, yeah, I think you've summed it up perfectly there, really. It was incredibly relatable to a lot of people, will have been to a lot of people. And it was a bit of a departure, wasn't it, from, you know, they're not renowned, not just the royal family, I suppose, lots of very well-to-do people, not necessarily renowned for being the most emotional people in the world, are they? But she really did open her heart up, I felt.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And I think she spoke as well for a great many people who have suffered greatly because of COVID and who have had experienced loss themselves throughout this, you know, terrible time that we've had. And, you know, as I said, it was a deeply personal speech, although there were a couple of, well, there was certainly one when she talked about the singing of carols, just as long as you know the tune, to be perfect. So clearly she's not a big fan of any of the modern day carols.
Yes, indeed.
And do you think that there's been a very sort of deliberate and conscientious gear change to the Queen recently? Because I do feel that over the last few months, we have seen a Queen who is very often smiling with a twinkle in her eye, really bringing, not levity is not the right word, but bringing joy to the role in a way that we haven't really seen her before. She's always been quite stoical. Do you think that's been a conscientious decision?
I think most people don't see the Queen in this fashion, you know, without trying to not name drop. I mean, having met the Queen several times, she is a real fun lady. She's got a great sense of humour, and I think we're now, you know, seeing a lot more of, you know, the real Queen, the real woman behind the monarch, if you like, because of various things that have happened, you know, personally in her life.
Some of the meetings that you've had with the Queen, then, how have they all come to pass?
Oh, they come to pass because of royal tours and events like that, where she has receptions and everything else, and it's always good fun. She's quite a little joker as well. So yeah, she makes you laugh, and unlike Prince Philip used to do, you tended not to stare into Prince Philip's eyes in case you turned into stone, to be perfectly honest.
Yes, yeah, I suppose there was a contrast with them there, wasn't there, really? I mean, it was interesting. I thought she said, you know, he had that twinkle that he still had ever since the first day she ever, I think her phrase was set eyes on him.
Yeah, it's such a lovely romantic phrase as well, wasn't it? Because
it is.
Yeah, I mean, people often say that it's love at first sight.
Go on, Charles.
It is a romantic moment. It's one of the very first times we've actually heard the Queen speak so affectionately and lovingly about her husband. I mean, I thought that little sentence was absolutely sensational.
It was really beautiful.
Very moving, actually.
And yeah, she spoke about missing that one laugh around the table.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Mischievous laugh, yeah.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, and I think, I think it has been very important during the pandemic that the Queen has very much tried to empathise with the nation. And it just goes to show, actually, there are people like this, the royal family, what are they for? What do they do? But it's in moments like this, in moments of crisis, that they really are the glue that holds us all together. Wherever you're from, whatever your background, whether your race, creed or colour, the Queen is there as almost like the nation's grandmother.
Yeah,
absolutely. I think there are several politicians who could learn an awful lot from the way the Queen has acted throughout this whole pandemic over this last 2 years. They could learn a few lessons from Her Majesty.
Yeah, well, talking to people who could learn a few lessons, I mean, she obviously did name drop a few people in her speech. Charles, William. Sure. She certainly didn't. There was no mention of Meghan and Harry. What do you make of that?
Well, I didn't. Well, to be perfectly honest, there wasn't a mention of Meghan and Harry or Prince Andrew. I mean, they're on the naughty step. All of them are on the naughty step for a start off.
Yeah.
And so, she gave a name check to the 4 members of the royal family. 6 members of the royal family who are in fact, her backup team, who are helping her tremendously. I didn't expect her to mention Harry or Meghan or Andrew. I mean, he's not going to be mentioned in anything for a very, very long time.
Do you think, I mean, he obviously at one point really did genuinely seem to think there was a way back for him, but I mean, that's not happening, is it?
Well, yeah, he may have thought that, but I mean, I don't know who was telling that. Probably Fergie, but there's just no way. It doesn't matter what happens now, Patrick, with this case that's going on. If it goes ahead in the autumn, and he is cleared of everything, there is no way back for him. I just do not believe we're ever going to see him carrying out a function on behalf of the royal family ever again.
Yes, probably not. I would have thought. Actually, it's yes. I think it's game over for old Andrew. I think, isn't it, in that sense?
Yeah.
I think in terms of royal duties, but there we are. Well, look, thank you very, very much. It's great to have you on the show, and happy Christmas as well again to you and yours. I'm loving the jumper. Dedication. Well, anyway, look. Moving away now, we all know the phrase dogs are forever, not just for Christmas, but year on year, rescue centres across the country prepare themselves to be inundated with unwanted animals come January.
Yep, whether the owners have underestimated the responsibility of a dog or the festive period has placed unforeseen pressures on the purse strings, every year more and more dogs end up in shelters after Christmas.
Yeah, it's really sad, this. Anyway, our Wales reporter Lily Hewitson has more for us.
With doe eyes and an infectiously waggy tail. On first glance, Scooter would be the perfect Christmas gift for a loved one, but with multiple health complications, his adopters will need to be patient and loving. Four-legged friends are a popular choice of present at Christmas, but this means dog shelters like Hope Rescue have an extremely busy January, sadly having to rehome unwanted animals. Sometimes people overestimate the work that goes into looking after a puppy, and other times they simply become too expensive.
We always see an increase in the number of strays that come into us in January and the number of owners who are ringing us for help. Now, sometimes that may be an owner who has purchased a dog over the festive period and can't cope, but more often than not, we're seeing that it's people whose situations have become perhaps more desperate over the festive period, perhaps money has become more tight, they're struggling with vet bills, or potentially even the stress of that festive period. People are feeling a bit lower and then they're struggling more with their dog's behaviour or their circumstances changing. So we certainly see a big increase in the demand on our services in the new year. I think potentially a lot of low welfare breeders do a lot more breeding towards the Christmas period. That's people who are breeding more for profit, not for welfare. And then the trap that some people fall into is because they are desperate to get a puppy for Christmas, they perhaps buy a dog that isn't quite suitable for their environment, and then it's quite a stressful time of year anyway, busy. That's quite difficult for a dog to adjust to a home during that busy time of year, and I think then it's a little bit of a perfect storm in a lot of ways.
Maybe Father Christmas left a puppy for you under the tree, but how can you make sure it feels happy and safe in their new home?
So obviously it can be quite exciting if someone has gone and done that for you. So I think the biggest thing to remember is that the dog itself doesn't know it's a present. So as far as the dog's concerned, they're in a new environment, so treat it nice and calm. So don't kind of overhandle them. The first instinct is to go in and cuddle them and kiss them all over, but actually that's going to be really stressful for the dog. So allow them to kind of come around, assess the house, see where they are, and again, keep everything nice and calm, so don't kind of overwhelm them with lots of things happening around them.
So if you're tucking into a turkey with the help of a new puppy today, make sure you're ready to give them a home for life. Lily Hewitson, GB News.
Lily Hewitson reporting to us. Yeah, I think it's desperately sad when people don't think about the consequences of having a pet. So,
well, everyone seemed to get dogs in lockdown, didn't they? They were sort of there by themselves working from home and thought, well, this is boring. All I get to do is go out for a walk once a day. I may as well get a dog. And then now reality's struck and they've got to go back to offices. There's apparently a lot of sad pooches out there.
There are.
Their owners.
There are, but, you know, that's very much a human issue, isn't it? If you can't look after a dog, don't get one, really, I think. It's pretty straightforward, isn't it? But, you know, it's a real shame. It's a real shame because, as well, one thing that look, I know, I'm sure there are a load of viewers watching now who've got pedigree dogs and all that. That's fine. You do you. But when I see how many dogs are in dogs' homes, you know, these dogs, they really, really need a home. You know, forget your designer dogs, I think. Go and get yourself a mongrel from Battersea. Get yourself a scratty little mongrel.
Get
they live longer as well, to be fair, don't they?
I don't know. Oh, yeah, I think they do.
Yeah, they do. Getting out of stations, but let's all
the
get away with
fancy ones have all sorts of problems. Anyway, I just want to say here, Phil Austin from Bedford has messaged saying, yesterday it was my sister's birthday, but because it falls on Christmas Day, she says she's never had a birthday. So she had her birthday yesterday and is having her Christmas Day today. Could you please wish her a happy Christmas from everyone who knows her? She is Joan Birtwistle of Anstey in Leicestershire. Joan.
Merry birthday.
Merry birthday. Merry birthday.
And a happy New Year.
Happy Birthmas. Happy Birthmas. We love to hear. And there's another one that I just wanted to point out because I read it earlier and I loved this. Helen Key messaging saying, good morning. Following your wonderful show yesterday, it was utter bedlam, let's be fair.
It was chaos.
I just wanted to share the news that their family have a new saying which goes, channel your inner Patrick and Alex. Channel your inner Patrick and Alex, people. Not sure they want to...
What a terrifying
want to know the reality.
What
terrifying.
For the state of your house.
I know.
channel your inner Patrick and Alex and... let's crack on.
And go to bed at 4 p.m. today.
Go to bed at 4 p.m. Anyway. Right, coming up, we'll be speaking to former England cricketer Stuart Meaker after yet another dismal display from England down under. I once caught Joe Root out.
You once caught what?
Joe Root out, not in some kind of love scandal, as in you physically caught him out in cricket.
You caught a ball that he had batted?
Yeah, and I got him out. He had to leave the pitch because, of course, he really knows.
What do you want, a medal?
Yeah, nothing about cricket here.
I really don't. But is he the one that they all go?
People at home now will be so deeply impressed with me after hearing that. There'll be people now looking at their TV screens going, "Whoa, this guy! Wow, you!"
Right, that's it. We're going to practice during the break, and I want to see some of those catching skills when we come back after
you can
this
hit the bottom of a barrel being
short
sprayed
break.
somewhere. Can't you? See you soon.
You're watching GB News live across the UK and the world on our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
We are here for you. Don't forget to join our YouTube community by clicking on that subscribe button.
And if you want the GB News app, you can click and catch up on programmes anytime.
We love to hear from you, so email us.
gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Thanks for being part of the GB News family.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of two wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday. And there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Colin Brazier. I've reported from more than 70 countries around the world, covered wars from Afghanistan to Iraq, from Lebanon to the Balkans. I'm trying to bring that experience, that feel for events, to the studio. And something else. I'm ready to give an opinion. Today's stories with a spark. Brazier from 8 p.m. weekdays on GB News.
Join us for the Political Correction. We're here every Sunday to correct politics and put you, the people, back in charge.
We talk about all areas of the United Kingdom, including Northern Ireland.
Our debate goes way beyond the Westminster Village. It's about the real country. It's about your opinion. So please, we want you to tell us what you think.
This is the Political Correction.
Every Sunday morning from 10 a.m. here on GB News.
You're watching GB News live across the UK, the world, and our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
We're here for you. Don't forget to join our community by hitting the subscribe button.
And download the GB News app so you can click and catch up on programmes anytime.
We love to hear from you. Email us at gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Thanks for being part of the GB News family.
Welcome back. Now, this morning, we have a wonderful Boxing Day panel to go through today's news stories as you're getting up the fabulous broadcaster Ella Whelan, the inimitable Andrew Eborn, and the gorgeous Nabila Ramdani. They're joining us all this morning. Now, Nabila, tell me
wanted to be the gorgeous one.
You're all gorgeous. You're all gorgeous, can I just say? You're a delight. You're telegenic, which is why we've put you on people's screens. Now, Nabila, what's caught your eye this morning?
Thank you very much indeed. I feel very flattered. Well, my story is on the front page of the Sunday Times, and it's about Keir Starmer, the leader of the opposition Labour Party, apparently opening up an 8-point lead in as Partygate, as it's been nicknamed, takes its toll on the Tories. So the story suggests that nearly 25,000 people were asked about their voting intentions, and the result reflects the first public perception of Boris Johnson handling of the scandals engulfing his party. And it also suggests that Boris Johnson could lose his seat as an MP if there was election now. Now, that might be the case, I would contend, if there was a one-off by-election, but it wouldn't happen, in my view, if there was a general election. I think Boris Johnson is still very much a proven election winner, and there's nobody in the Labour Party that can yet be described as such. And I think that doing well over the Christmas holidays is not ideal for an opposition leader. They need to start topping the polls, as it were, when everybody's back working in the new year. And dare I say, by-elections frequently bring out a big protest vote, but that doesn't mean that the Tory party wouldn't win a general election, quite the opposite. I would say that this is not necessarily because they deserve it to win or they're doing particularly well, but because the Labour Party still is in an appalling state. The cabinet is as weak as ever, just as weak as the Conservative cabinet, I would suggest. The difference is, however, is that the Conservatives are, in my view, still seen as the Brexit party, and they will carry millions of Brexit votes with them. And whatever you say about Boris Johnson, he does well at elections in spite of his faults, and that is absolutely undeniable.
I mean, what's fascinating by this is I think it's a bit early for Sir Keir Starmer to be popping the corks on this particular polling. But what's so fascinating is they said to Boris, well, we don't like the way you've been handling things, when Boris has faced no opposition apart from his own party. I mean, actually, the Labour Party, if anything, have always, like this whole pandemic, wanted to go deeper, harder and more... what word am I going to use that I can use on Boxing Day morning?
No, but I think you need to be very careful.
More aggressive in COVID policy, let's say. And I mean, they haven't been in opposition at all. If you were going to come up with something that the Labour Party wants to do with our country, it'd be really difficult to find a single policy.
Well, that's the thing. I think there's nothing to suggest that there's a Tony Blair figure, as it were, in the Labour wings that will revive. Tony Blair figure in the wings, I can tell you. That will revive the Labour Party, and I think what the Labour Party needs is a new Labour Party, and there doesn't seem to be one at the moment.
Okay. All right, Andrew, what's been catching your eye in the news?
I'll tell you what, from Santa Claus to Santa Paws, I thought we should have some good news. Get away from COVID, get away from politics, and it's breaking news. So this is a tale from the bark side. This is about Staffy has been given a miracle surgery, just hot off the press, after eating 6 packets of chocolate coins. Can you believe it?
Wow.
6 packets of chocolate coins. His owner, who doesn't want to be named fully, but they're called Arnie, basically he came home from the shops and suddenly saw all this sort of mess and foil everywhere, and Staffy had eaten the lot. The problem is this, is that it's not very good for dogs. So they got rushed to the vets, who were brilliant. The PDSA vet said Hugo, which is the name of the dog, not the owner, was kept overnight after major surgery, and they did an X-ray. They discovered all this tin foil in stuff. And they give a word of warning. They say, look, foods including chocolate, mince pies, onions, raisins, grapes, some nuts, sage and onion stuffing, and Christmas cake may be harmful and should be kept out of paws' reach. No popcorn is what I would say. Thank you, we're here all week. The good news is that it is a perfect thing. He is now much better and sitting down to watch the GB News. So welcome to him. Terrifying. A bit of labracadabra.
Oh!
See what I did there?
You did not make a dog's dinner of it.
This is why he has the big bucks, that guy. Yes, all right, okay. Ella, what's been on your agenda then?
I can't quite top Andrew, but I did think we need something that's not Omicron and not depressing news.
Yes.
But is somewhat contentious. Always rely on Inside the Mail to bring it. Hate Actually. So the beloved Christmas film Love Actually, that I've watched numerous times and most people have, has been slammed not because it's a load of cheesy schmaltzy crap, but because apparently, which is why I love it, but it's apparently because, like many other films like Grease in the past that have been labelled by a new generation as unwatchable because they are either fat shaming or racist or rapey, as it's described, has been criticised because Martine McCutcheon gets called, her thighs get discussed in it because for various other reasons, including Liam Neeson's character being criticised for telling his son to kiss that girl in the film, which is the best bit of the film, and I think it's just most people are going to ignore this and watch it. I think it tells you something about the Christmas miserableism of a new generation.
Yeah, I mean, when you get to the stage that you're finding Love Actually offensive, you've got a mental illness. Let's be fair, you've got problems. You've got serious problems if Love Actually offends you.
Is that? Well, can we do a quick whiz round? Is it which ones of your favourite Christmas films? Anyone? Go on. Let's start with you, Ella. Work your way down.
Go for it.
All right, anyone?
I watched for the first time. My mum sat me down and showed me It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, that is. Yes.
And we were all in tears.
What is it? Do you want a moon, Mary? I'll throw a lasso around it. That's the one, isn't it? Yeah, I've not just made that up. But yeah, it's the one, the black and white one. Anyway, right, OK, moving on. Andrew, what's your favourite Christmas?
Well, I have to say, if you want to draw a crowd, start a fight. So I reckon Die Hard, which is obviously a Christmas movie.
Obviously.
That is brilliant. But I agree with you. I love those sort of old movies, the black and white ones. It feels like a real Christmas, doesn't it?
It does indeed. Nabila, have you got a favourite Christmas movie?
Well, I would say Love Actually.
Yeah.
It's a great
You can't beat
it.
You can't.
I like the Grinch.
Classic.
Oh, the Grinch is good.
I like the Grinch.
I miss the good old days. Like during the 90s, the official Christmas film was Hook. It's always Hook.
Oh.
Yeah, and I feel like they've dropped Hook now. Hook is gone.
Hook probably said some things in his past that we now have to cancel him for.
Yeah, I know.
He was a member of a particular society when he was at university, and we just can't have that.
It's probably offensive in so many ways at this point. So
absolutely.
Well, I love it.
Right, so we still got time for a couple more stories from this wonderful panel.
Let's squeeze a bit more
apparently
out
we
of
do.
them.
Apparently we do. Right, Nabila, is there anything else that's caught your fancy this morning?
Well,
what have you got? Here we go.
Have I caught you on the hop here?
Andrew's got a whole list
I've
of
got
them.
loads of stories.
Why don't you tell us about the spaceship, because we didn't get the spaceship.
Yes,
let's do the spaceship.
We love the spaceship because, and this is what they're going to try and do, it is discovering, do not underestimate this, the spaceship is going to discover parts of the planet that we have never seen before. And actually, to your point about the previous one, it is much bigger. The previous one was like, the mirror bit, which shows these different parts of the planet, was only 2.5 on the last one, on the Hubble. Hubble, toil and trouble. This one's 6. So you can go to parts of the planet. We can see the beginning of Earth itself. What I was going to tell you as well, though, is that we talked about sausage rolls last time. And I know, Patrick, it's one of your favourite things ever. But the point is this, is that we have 14 million people living in poverty, a lot of which are children. The key to this is all about raising money and awareness for the Trust. The Trussell Trust, so do check that out. And it's the first time ever that Elton John has had a Christmas #1. And what happens, he's got both a Christmas #1 and a Christmas #2 because it's a cover version of Ed Sheeran and his song. So I think battling poverty, and it's something which I know, Patrick, you've been involved with as well because you've been distributing food parcels to the poor. That's one of the things that you used to do.
It's weird
Raising
that,
money and awareness
yes.
about poverty in this country is so important. So hats off to Lad's Boy and congratulations to Lad's Baby, even he's grown up a bit since the last time. The fourth time, the only time ever in the history of Christmas #1s that this has happened consecutively 4 times. Hats off to them and looking forward to the 5th next year.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely. Fantastic. Well, there you go. Thank you very much for whizzing us through all of that. And yes, I'm particularly excited about this this telescope, I must say. I think it's fantastic. We could see the dawn of time, you know? Well, it doesn't get any better than that, does it? No,
I love it. No, you're not a huge fan of spacey stuff. I love a bit of space.
I love space. It's my bucket list. I'm desperate. Before I die, I want to go to space. But anyway, coming up, we'll go live to Anna Riley, who's in Leeds for us, where the Boxing Day sales are getting well underway. Make sure you stay tuned.
Yeah.
You're watching GB News live across the UK and the world on our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
We are here for you. Don't forget to join our YouTube community by clicking on that subscribe button.
And if you want the GB News app, you can click and catch up on programmes anytime.
We love to hear from you, so email us.
gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Thanks for being part of the GB News family.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of 2 wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday. And there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Colin Brazier. I've reported from more than 70 countries around the world, covered wars from Afghanistan to Iraq, from Lebanon to the Balkans. I'm trying to bring that experience, that feel for events, to the studio. And something else. I'm ready to give an opinion. Today's stories with a spark. Brazier from 8 p.m. weekdays on GB News.
Right, morning everyone. Now, England have made yet another slow start, unfortunately, down under in the 3rd test of the Ashes. Joe Root's side were bowled out for a measly 185 runs in the first innings at the MCG in Melbourne.
Yeah, England are already 2-0 down in the series and will need a really strong performance with the ball tomorrow to turn things around on day 2. Australia are 61 for 1 at the close of play. And joining us now is former England cricketer Stuart Meeker. Stuart, I have no intelligent questions on cricket, so Patrick's going to do this interview.
Well, joke's on you, because neither do I. But, I mean, this is obviously a pretty bad start for England. The Australians have made hay. Is it maybe wicket-related with the Aussies maybe getting the better of the conditions? Can we take any solace in that?
I mean, yes. Like I said before, when you're down, you're down. England really needed everything to go their way in order to be able to fight back into the series, and they lost the toss on quite a green Melbourne wicket. And the last thing you want to do when you've had such, I say, bleak batting performances is to be put on quite a spicy wicket. Now, having said that, there were some brilliant balls to get some good wickets in the Aussie bowling attack. But there were also some pretty average shots, I would have suggested, from some senior players when they're trying to do everything they can to fight their way back into the series. I think they've probably had a discussion about taking the attack back to the Aussie quicks, being aggressive, playing, being positive. but there's still times and a way in which you do that, and it looked like England had probably not got that right.
We spoke last time you were in now. We spoke a bit about Joe Root, and look, some people, I think, possibly quite unfairly, maybe calling his position into question, but maybe it goes a bit higher than that. Is it a coaching issue, do you think? You mentioned there about them maybe being told, look, take the attack to the Aussies, and it didn't really work, did it, I suppose?
Well, I mean, look, what do you do? It seems like everything that England are trying at the moment is just not quite going their way, and that tends to happen when you're down in the dumps and you're playing in very tough conditions out in Australia. I do think perhaps their preparation hasn't been great for this series as a whole, but then you go back, they've had enough time to prepare over the last two years or so to get ready for this Ashes series. And all the decisions being made up at the top level have been gearing England towards white ball cricket. Rightfully so, to an extent. We still hadn't won the one-day competition, and England had that on their agenda for many a year. And resting players at the wrong time have all been geared towards the white ball cricket because that's what England wanted to do. But that's been to the detriment of the Test team and the Test arena. And we're starting to see some of those consequences now, potentially, in how England are going about their business.
And
I'd say it's higher, probably, if anything, than just the coaching stuff. Chris Silverwood is a brilliant cricketer, brilliant coach in himself. He coached Essex to a couple of titles when he was involved there. There's nothing wrong with his coaching necessarily. He's just potentially hampered by some of the decisions being made at executive level.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are a team in transition, I suppose you could say. Do you see enough young talent coming through to actually think that we could actually do the business going forward, or are we struggling a bit at the moment, do you think? We go through phases, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, look, it swings and roundabouts in all sports teams and all sort of walks of life. Sometimes you go through generations where you have great players. We were blessed for the last sort of decade or so where we had your Kevin Petersons, your Trotts, your Cooks, your Graham Swans, how we would love to have him in this series now. And, we got to #1 Test team in the world, and that was a hell of an achievement for an English sort of cricket team. Now we're going back down through, we're seeing the back end of James Anderson, back end of Stuart Broad, guys that have been prolific for England for a number of years. We still have players like that. Joe Root, obviously, is going to be potentially one of the greatest players to hold a bat for England. There's just not enough potentially around him at the moment. And like I said earlier, there's a few people who are being bled through. In the county game, I have to be honest, there's probably not as much gearing towards red ball cricket as there used to be. I mean, there's still plenty of young talent around, but I still think the majority of them tend to now be more gearing themselves towards the white ball format, 2020 competitions. And we've been perpetuating that for the last how many years because that's where all the money is, that's where the crowds are, it's where the commercial deals are. So let's just hope that it's not going to be forever. We've always been worried about this with Test cricket, that the T20s and the one-day format can have an effect, but
I mean, when you were around the England setup, what was the kind of sports psychology elements of it like? Do you do a lot of work on that kind of thing? Because it looks to me like England need to get a new mindset down there.
I mean, yeah, we did a hell of a lot. And
did you find it useful, sports psychology? Because some people just don't want it, do they?
It depends on what it's, what it's for. I think sometimes it can be misused. It depends on the player as well. Everyone and every individual is different. When you've had a sports psych who's got just a sports psych background and they've done the university degree, etc., I think at times perhaps they don't quite understand how to get the best out of the athlete. When you've had a sports psych who's played the game for a number of years and they know how to potentially get the person thinking along the right lines, the right mindset, and then being able to get the right habits and behaviours in place to be able to get them to do that, then I think you have a great combination there. And England have that. They have guys who've played the game for years, and also a coach is a sports psych in and of itself as well. So I enjoyed it. I use them a lot. I use them a lot for stuff off of the pitch a lot of the time because people forget that sometimes a lot of what goes on off the pitch has a huge impact on what goes on it. I use them a lot. But everyone's different. I think England probably need someone, not necessarily a sports psych or a coach, They need someone to grab this series, grab this game by the horns and say, I'm going to be the man that is going to change everything that's gone on before, because we've got 1 or 2 sessions to do it tomorrow, and if not, the series could potentially already be over.
The series has gone otherwise, hasn't it? I think the spin department is one that I must say I'm very, very surprised at. I mean, Jack Leach, clearly the Aussies are taking a fancy to the point where Joe Root's now essentially a number one spinner, I suppose, and that's certainly the way he's been deploying himself. But is that the best we've got in this country, spin-wise?
I would say Jack Leach, in terms of performances in county cricket, yes. He's done it very. He's done it a lot for Somerset down there. They've had conducive pitches to turn. To be fair, so he was definitely the one at the moment who you would say is the best suited to be able to go out and take wickets. I do feel for him because he's been put in a green seamer down at the Gabba. He missed out on a spinning wicket last week, and now he's been put on a green seamer at Melbourne. Yeah. So he's on to a losing sort of wicket there, as it were. And around the counties, there's a few young guys, but spinners tend to mature later on in their careers. Graham Swan, it took him till he was nearly 30 to be able to sort of gain the experience and mature as a spinner to get to where he did. There's not that many around the grounds that are quite in that sort of category. There's a few young guys, but it's going to take time for them to bed themselves in.
Absolutely, Stuart. Thank you very, very much. Great to have you on the show again, Stuart Wickler, of course, whizzing you through the latest in the Ashes, which unfortunately is not particularly pretty info for us at the moment, but maybe one day we'll actually beat them. Here we go, anyway. But here's what else is coming up. Go on, you do it.
Yeah, the Bishop of Johannesburg, Desmond Tutu, has died at the age of 90. The human rights activist was best known for his anti-apartheid work, coining the infamous term Rainbow Nation to describe the diversity of South Africa. Described by friends as full of love, he was also the first black bishop of Cape Town.
Chris Whitty, as well, is set to be knighted. Yay. In the New Year's honours list, England's chief medical officer will be recognised by Her Majesty for services to incorrect predictions. I ad-libbed that. For his response to the COVID pandemic. According to various newspaper reports, his deputy, Jonathan Van Tam, JVT to his mate, will also receive honours.
Yeah, the Queen has paid tribute to her late husband in her first annual Christmas message since his death. Her Majesty said, "Christmas can be hard for those of us who have lost loved ones. This year especially, I understand why." She described Prince Philip as her beloved and said she felt his presence over the festive period.
Oh, poor Queenie. Right. Meanwhile, a man armed with an offensive weapon was arrested in the grounds of Windsor Castle on Christmas Day. So Thames Valley Police said that the man, aged 19 years old and from Southampton, was found within moments of entering the grounds at 8:30 yesterday morning. He's been arrested on suspicion of breach or trespass of a protected site and possession of an offensive weapon. Police say that he did not enter any buildings and members of the royal family had been informed.
Now, volunteers are working hard at COVID vaccination sites in England today, and they were even working yesterday, sad things, as the push to offer every adult a booster by the end of the month continues. I was doing sad things, it's sad to work on Christmas
Who wakes
Day.
up, I'll tell you what, all I want for Christmas is a jab.
I know, yeah.
If you've got nothing else on Christmas Day, you have to go and go... Yeah, because it can knock you out a bit as well, can't it? You can feel a little bit ill after it.
Doesn't it just? Not everyone, but a few people have had it like...
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway.
NHS England say thousands of first, second and booster jabs were given on Christmas Day as part of its response to the Omicron variant threat. A new high of 122,186 daily UK COVID cases were reported on Friday. But about 60% of adults have now received a booster jab in the UK, with a record number of vaccinations taking place in the last 7 days, according to the NHS. More than 32 million boosters and third doses have now been administered, and officials are urging all eligible people to come forward for their jab as soon as possible to reduce the impact of Omicron.
Yes, indeed. And the $10 billion James Webb Telescope left Earth yesterday on its mission to show the first stars to ever light up the universe. I mean, absolutely Incredible.
Mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. Look at that giant mirror. Look at
that giant mirror. You
Look at
could
that
get
thing.
lost in there, Alex, couldn't you?
It's beautiful. I mean, I'd put my mascara on really well if I had a mirror. There wouldn't be a smudge in sight.
You're doing all right as it is. So the observatory was lifted skywards by an Ariane rocket from the Kourou spaceport in French Guyana. Why can't I say that word?
French Guyana.
French Guyana.
Come on.
Gosh, anyway. Its flight to orbit lasted just under half an hour, with the signal confirming a successful outcome picked up by a ground antenna in Malindi in Kenya.
Webb, named after one of the architects of the Apollo moon landings, is the successor to the one and only, the greatest telescope of them all, the Hubble.
The Hubble.
The Hubble.
The Hubble, but there we go. Anyway, now Donald Trump's golf courses and leisure businesses in Scotland apparently claimed over £3 million in UK government furlough money. So COVID restrictions caused substantial losses at Trump resorts in Ayrshire and Aberdeenshire, with both companies reducing staff. Trump Turnberry saw a turnover more than halved, and it recorded a loss of more than £3 million in 2020. The other course and resort at Balmeedy also reported a loss of £1.3 million.
Now, former England and Yorkshire cricket captain Ray Illingworth has died, aged 89. The all-rounder who led England to an away Test series victory over Australia in 1970 to 1971. Here's the bit where you remark about...
absolutely.
Yeah.
What a contrast. Do you remember when we used to beat the Aussies?
There you go.
Yeah.
There you are, every hour so far.
Yep.
He had been undergoing radiotherapy for cancer. Illingworth played 61 tests for England, and he helped Yorkshire win 7 domestic titles in just 9 years, from 1959 to 1968. It'd be fair to say that the man had a fantastic innings.
Hey, good knock. Well done, Ray. Right, OK, today's weather, it will be dull for many, with spells of rain and hill snow.
Of course.
Absolutely.
All the hill snow.
Clearing away north-eastwards to leave a few lingering showers.
Now, today marks the start of the Boxing Day sales, with plenty of shops opening their doors to the public at 11 a.m. Our Yorkshire and Humber reporter Anna Riley is live in Leeds city centre. Anna, are we starting to see a little bit of footfall, or is it all quiet where you are?
Good morning. Yes, it's certainly feeling festive here. I'm at the Trinity Shopping Centre complex in Leeds. Don't know if you can hear behind me, but all the Christmas jingles are still going. There is a little bit of footfall, but the people that I've spoken to that have come past have actually not realised that with it being a Sunday today, the shops are opening at 11 due to those Sunday trading hours. So there have been a few disappointed shoppers wanting to come and look now, but having to wait still. And it's predicted that there's going to be more of an online shopping boom this year. Obviously, last year with the pandemic and the lockdown, people were unable to go out and do their Boxing Day shopping for those sales. But now, with the rise of Omicron, with people having to isolate, it's been said by the British Retail Consortium that an increasing number of consumers are shopping online for their Boxing Day bargains, and given the global climate, this trend will no doubt continue. They said that Boxing Day tends to be a busy time for specific non-food products like furniture, where the post-Christmas sales tend to be more significant that those occur before Christmas. It's happened as well this year that a lot of retailers have given their staff the day off at Boxing Day. So there's the big names like Next, that's where you've normally got people queuing at 6 in the morning. They're not actually opening the doors today, they're starting their Boxing Day sale tomorrow. And other big retailers like Sainsbury's and Marks and Spencer's are following suit. It's expected that the people that are coming out and shopping today are going to be looking to get tech bargains, and there's an Apple shop here behind me, and the Apple AirPods, they're expected to be on sale today, so I'll have a pop round when the stores open and have a chat with shoppers later on today to see what they're buying and if they're enjoying spending their Christmas money. I'm sure a lot of us got Christmas money, Christmas Day, so people will be out spending. Have a word with them and report back to you in the studio as to what people are doing today.
Liliana, thank you very much. Thank you, Bea, for being up so bright and early as well on Boxing Day. You've put a real shift in. Thank you, Anna Riley there, of course. Right, well, coming up, we'll be taking a look at the best of Talking Pints with Nigel Farage, but first, it's the weather.
It's time to remind ourselves there's always another winter. Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
Now, looking ahead to today's weather, and the UK is looking, well, pretty grim actually. Cold up north with some hill snow, milder elsewhere with cloud and rain. So let's have a little look at the details. It will start rather cloudy in the southwest with some bright or sunny spells in places. There will be a few showers for northern coasts and feeling mild for all. However, it will be a cloudy start in the southeast with outbreaks of rain. The cloud will be low, bringing murky conditions and hill fog. Some bright or possibly sunny spells though for South Wales, but mostly cloudy with the odd shower possible, and it will also be a mild start. It will also start quite mild across the Midlands, but overcast and murky with low cloud and hill fog. The cloud will be thick enough to bring some light rain or drizzle at times. Also a cloudy start in the northeast, but it will also feel cold there. There'll be outbreaks of rain and hill snow, especially over the Pennines, bringing difficult driving conditions for a time. So if you're setting off in your car in that region, do take care. Cloudy and cold for southern Scotland as we start Boxing Day. There'll be patchy outbreaks and rain where the cloud thickens, and also, of course, that infamous hill snow over the higher ground. A milder start for those in Northern Ireland, and it will also be cloudy. There'll be showery rain at times, and those will be accompanied by strong winds. Rain and the infamous hill snow yet again will be clearing in the east, but remaining cloudy with some locally heavy showers in the west. That's how the weather is shaping up for the rest of the day, so grim with some hill snow.
Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
You're watching GB News live across the UK and the world on our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
We are here for you. Don't forget to join our YouTube